Built a tower made of paper and lies, stacked it high with the liar's disguise. But the wind's picking up, gonna blow it all down. A reckoning's coming to this hollow town. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. They sold our steel, they stole our land, turned the worker into a begging hand. But the wheels are turning, the fire's alive. We're taking back what's rightfully mine. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. Ghosts of the past whisper through the trees. Swamp runs deep, but it's begging to freeze. Freedom ain't given, it's a fight to the bone. Stand your ground or be overthrown. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do. Our work to do. Ghosts of the past whisper through the trees. Swamp runs deep, but it's begging to freeze. Freedom ain't given, it's a fight to the bone. Stand your ground or be overthrown. Tear it down, burn it up, let the light shine through. Trump's got the hammer, Musk lights the fuse. No more chains, no deep state blues. The eagle's screaming, we got work to do.
Hey guys, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
How you doing, Rich?
I'm good. How are you? How was your week?
Excellent as always. Got to make
Good.
it so. Got to make it so.
Absolutely. Hey, what's
Yeah.
up, guys? Hey, Sheila. Good to see you. Good to see you, Gina. Anglo, Chris. Yo, bruv. What's up? Jimmy from Philly in the house. I saw Packett was here. What's up, brother? What's up, Anglo? Good to see you guys. Who else was here? Simon and Willie's Desert Hangout. There you go. Nice. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. Another fire hose week, right? Of news. We got
My God.
we got one loss that I know of, and we got two wins at least that I know of from the Supreme Court. We'll talk about that. They gave a ruling on what's it called on the first I can't think of the name of it now. The children birthright citizenship. Woo! I had a brain fart there.
That took a while.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the hell? I kept thinking of something else, but no.
Have you taken your medication today?
I am. I really am. Hey, Bobbity, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
Yeah. Hello, everybody in the chat. Welcome.
Yeah. Pretty crazy week, man. A lot of stuff going on. They
Oh
caught
my God!
CNN
Every week
lying,
it's
and
something. It's something new, outstanding. It's just some. You just can't believe some of the things. Wow.
I know some of the things are great. Some of the things you're like, damn, these people just won't learn. And
I
then
mean,
New
like the
York,
birth
holy
rate.
crap. Look at New York. I got several stories tonight about that because they're important. I did a video on it too.
Yeah, let's not entirely bog down in New York.
Yeah,
We
but
could
I'm
spend the
going to do
next
all
three
of them.
hours
Hey,
talking.
42, what's up?
We could spend the next 3 hours talking about New York. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, here we go, guys. I wanted to put that up.
But yes,
Hey, man.
we should talk about some of that.
Oh, yeah, we're absolutely going to. So let's
Just
go
just
over.
just my suggestion is that
I know.
we spread
She keeps,
ourselves
guys,
out.
if you don't know, Jade keeps me from getting a strike.
That's part of my job.
Yeah, it actually is. All right, let's go down. So from top to bottom, Supreme Court rules on birthright citizenship order. Brandon Strzok, who I know, he does his second video. He did it last year, but I just saw it today, and it is fantastic. He's the guy that started the walkaway movement. The Biden administration targeted him on J6. They admitted he never went in the building, but they still went after him because he was responsible for like 350,000 Democrats leaving the party, right? Limbaugh, nearly 2 decades ago, you're going to love this. If you liked Rush Limbaugh, which I did a lot, you're going to love this because he announces the Limbaugh laws on immigration, and they're fantastic after all these years. Supreme Court just opened the door for mass deportations with no more rogue judges in the way. Mark Penn describes how New York City primaries, they were actually rigged. They do that second, what is it? Ranked
Choice voting.
Ranked choice voting. Yeah, basically, without giving the story away, basically what it is like, if there are 4 people in the race, then you have 4 choices. You say, who's your first choice, your second choice, third, And so if you get, if Cuomo, who actually is the better of the two when he comes down to this knucklehead, but if Cuomo got 49% as first choice, right, and the rest was all split up by everybody, nobody got 49%. But then this guy gets 60% as second choice, he wins. They do that because that's how the Democrats cheat.
But it's worse than that because it's almost like you're having like 4 or 5 different elections in one. And then they collate, no, well, this guy can't win. They drop him off the ballot, and it's then they combine the different votes. And
you know who else did that? Who got
Alaska.
it in her state?
Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska. Right. Murkowski got that just to save her ass.
That's how Peltola ended up in there.
Yeah. Here's one. There is no such thing as a free grocery store. You'd think you have to write an article to tell people. He can't do free because it's no matter what. Milton Friedman said all bills are paid. They are. Even if the company that you owe the bill to and you don't pay it, they pay it because they eat it. All bills are paid. There's no such thing as free anything. So he's full of crap. He's going to destroy that. Need proof that Democrats are panicking about Mamdani's victory? There we go. Supreme Court allows states to cut off Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood. That's a big one because it has other implications. Iran get this. Iran votes to stop cooperating with the UN nuclear watchdog, suspends inspections after Israeli and U.S. strikes. Unbelievable. They got balls. And here's a good one. Feel good of the week. Libs freak as Bill Maher announces he has left the Democratic Party after he had dinner with Trump. I'm voting R. Well, he's not voting Republican, but that's part of the clickbait that they put out. But he may. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Because he called out a lot of their bullshit, right? And it just got to him. And when I watched his video where he explained we may have played it here where he explained his dinner with Trump.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, Bill Maher is not stupid. He just was infected with TDS at, I don't know, somewhere around a 6 or 7 level.
Yeah.
And
I would say you're the doctor, so.
And one of the symptoms of TDS is political blindness.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, what's up, Louie? Good to see you, man. Yeah, they're just blind to everything around them. And he finally, you know who else is coming around that way too? And I hate to
Stephen
say,
Smith,
Van Jones.
Van Jones, Stephen A.
Van,
Smith as well.
yeah, now Van Jones is a progressive, but if you remember, he was kicked out of the Obama administration for being a communist. That's because at that
Yeah,
time the
but what did he
Democrats hadn't
say?
openly embraced communism like they have
Yeah,
today.
what did he say this week? He came
Yeah,
out and
he said that Israel is not a real country. He said because when you blind women because they have some hair showing.
Iran, you mean, is not.
Yeah,
You said
or I'm
Israel.
sorry, Israel. Blah, Iran.
That's
Yeah,
important. That's
yeah. That
important,
is an
guys.
important distinction. Yeah, yeah, guys.
Yeah, because
I'm
he
going to
was
be on.
talking about. Yeah, I saw that he was talking about the strikes on Iran, and he basically supported Trump.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to be on 42 show tomorrow night. It's the end of the month show. I love it. He was kind enough to invite me on again. So please, it's 5:30 Eastern time. So I know all you guys are going to be there. I know that. Hey, what's up? What's up, Chris? Kasualb. What's the story with the name, Chris? What's going on? Verbally bitch slap Bernie. Yeah, I saw that. I might even play it tonight. I have it as a backup thing. But let's get started. We'll go down the line, do the first one. The Supreme Court. I'll start off by saying that they punted on this, but they solved the problem for Trump at least. We'll get in. Let me read it. Where the hell am I? Here we are. Supreme Court rules on birthright citizenship order. The U.S. Supreme Court has issued its ruling on President Donald Trump's early executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. And he
shall
should.
I say, should be an obvious. Obvious.
Yeah.
Slap your forehead.
It's like, is AOC stupid? Yeah, it's so obvious that it's not. It was never created. The 14th Amendment. It was, and you know what? They finally admitted, yeah, it was done for the children of slaves. That's why.
You know what's the advantage of being stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like somebody comes up and says, "What the hell? Are you stupid?" And you say, "Well, my gosh, yes, I am." Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. That's
anyway.
crazy, huh? Yeah, let me take this off. All right, so let me go back to it. So Trump has scored a big win in the birthright citizenship case, not on the merits, but on whether a universal injunction is permitted. This is hugely significant in every case with universal injunctions. Good, he said it, because that's what I was just going to say. Because district judges, they're called district judges because they rule a district, not the whole nation. But with these Jacobins in black robes, what they've been doing is making rulings that were national. And you can't do that. And who was going to stop them? Well, the Supreme Court did. Senior legal correspondent Margot Cleveland, who writes for The Federalist, by the way, explained what this means. U.S. Supreme Court allows Trump's executive order restricting birthright citizenship to go into effect in some areas of the country for now by curtailing federal judges' ability to block the president's policies nationwide. But now you're going to have like the a-hole leftist, like Newscum, Gavin Newscum, and you're going to have Tim Tampon Walls and all those. You're going to have all of them say, "Oh, no, we're not going to hear to that." And then you got to go in and arrest them. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the case in May after 3 lower federal courts have issued nationwide injunctions against the order's implementation. 3 nationwide injunctions from 3 district judges. It goes to show you, and they're saying, well, you're not a king. Oh, are you, a-hole? Jacobin in black robes? Are you a king? Because you seem to be coming outside of your own fiefdom and trying to hit all 50 states. In an executive order signed on Inauguration Day, you got to love it, Trump declared that the 14th Amendment provision granting U.S. citizenship to children born on American soil only to those with at least one parent who is a citizen or permanent resident. Now, he said or permanent resident because of that case that came up in the 1800s. Who was it? Wok Ark? I think it was Wok Ark was the case. I know his name was Ark. It was a Chinese kid who was born here, and his parents weren't citizens. but they were
No, but they
legal
were
permanent
legal.
residents.
They were
Okay?
legal immigrants,
And he
permanent
had to,
residents.
yeah, he had to go to China for, like, I think a family member died or so. He had to go there, and when he came back, they wouldn't let him in. And so the court said, yes, because you're a legal permanent resident, because legal permanent residents are the ones that have a green card that they are working towards being a citizen. Now, technically, they don't have to. I think there should be a time limit, but technically, they don't have to. They could be. It's because the courts determined that they have done enough to prove that they do want to live in the United States and to be citizens. All right. So, and that's what Trump said, and he's 110% right. I've already gone over on this on a live stream in the past where you had the guy who was the senator, who actually Howard was his last name, and he actually got to the well of the Senate. He's the guy that introduced the 14th Amendment, and he said, no, this does not mean that foreigners can have a baby on U.S. soil and that they are. It was all for the children of slaves. Under the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, and here's the key part that the libnuts always keep out, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States. The subject to the jurisdiction means this. I know a lot of you guys already understand, but what it means is that if you're a citizen of the United States, then you are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But if you come here and you're not a citizen, suppose you came from, I don't know, Jamaica, okay? Or no, have them walk up. Suppose they came from Colombia and they're not a citizen. So they are still subject to the jurisdiction of Colombia because they're a citizen of Colombia, okay? So that phrase right there knocks them out. But they said, the libnuts say, oh, no, that only means that if you're an ambassador. No, if you're an ambassador, because it says in there no ambassadors, but they like to interpret it differently. That it
Yes, but the ambassadors are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They are just representatives.
But it's a matter of fact, you're right. I think that was an add-on sentence that they wanted to say, that because they live here, like you could be an ambassador
For years.
For years and years. Yeah, so that's why they added it. But it was a throw-on, right?
Yeah, they
just say, go ahead.
They added it for clarity, but the bottom line is ambassadors are still 100% citizens and representatives
of their own country.
Of their country.
Right. For over a century, this text has been interpreted to grant citizenship at birth to all individuals except children of foreign diplomats. The Wall Street Journal reported, because the Wall Street Journal was a hack rhino outfit. No, the fact of the matter is that no, it does not grant. This was a Democrat thing. That, it's been since the day it went. No, it's when the Democrats started gaining power again after the Civil War. Mostly in the 50s and 60s, they started shouting that illegals that are here, if the baby's born, that they're a citizen. No, absolutely not. And again, I'm going to say this again. This is why I was never a birther on the Obama thing. I kept telling people, no, his mother was a citizen. He's a citizen. You know, his father was not. His father was a commie from, what the hell was it?
Jamaica.
Where?
Oh, was it Jamaica? I thought it was Jamaica.
No, he's from,
No, Nairobi.
No. Kenya. They're from Kenya.
That's where Nairobi is.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, wait a minute. Nairobi's
capital of Kenya.
Oh, okay. Well, you should have. You said no, Nairobi, so that made me think it was a different country. I'm not good at geography, so yeah. But anyway, so my dad had an ambassador. Ever again? Okay. Let me see. Well, there's a hangout. Cool. So let me get back to it. So proponents of Trump's order argued that the historical context of the amendment was to grant citizenship to the children of former slaves, and that the provision has since been abused by illegal migrants who exploit it to gain a foothold in the U.S. by having a child on American soil. You think about that. You could be standing in Mexico, right on the borderline, where you could be standing there, never entered the United States. You're 9 months pregnant. Your water breaks and you jump over the line and your kid's a citizen. No, it doesn't work that way. Trump's executive order.
My understanding, I never worked in that, but if you work at towns right across the border, that's what they used to do.
Yeah.
They'd sit in their car idling on the Mexican side.
You know that the Clinton administration flew planes over with leaflets that they would drop, and they would say, "Are you pregnant? Do you know that if you have your baby in the United States, the baby becomes an American citizen, and you, by rights of the baby, are allowed to stay with the baby in the
Yeah,
United States?
they would come in and they'd
That's
sit in the parking lot.
that should be treason.
Yeah, they would sit in the parking lot of the hospital,
Yeah, that should be
and
treason.
with something called the EMTALA, which is the
Whatever.
Emergency Medicine something in Pregnancy Act. You had to treat them, but depending if they timed it wrong, I gather that there were some hospitals that would put them in an ambulance and drive them back over.
Yeah. It's just
But
crazy that they want you to believe that that's what they were thinking in the 1800s.
yeah, anybody here of the Federalist Papers? You want to
Yeah.
think of what the men were thinking back then?
Yeah.
That's a good place.
Oh, yeah, it's a good place to start anyway. But hey, what's up, Commander? Good to see you, man. Let's see. Boy, I missed a lot of comments. All right, let's see.
Comment section going
Anchor
wild.
baby, yeah, unconstitutional founding fight. Yep, that's exactly right, man. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a message here. Okay, so gotta go back. Yeah, there's so much fire hose news today. We'll watch the Brandon Strzok one later on. We'll watch that later on too. Did I do a video on this? I don't know. I can't remember. Supreme Court just opened the door to mass deportations with no rogue judges in the way. You gotta love it. This handsome young man wrote it. All right. So anyway, say, well, here we are. The next chapter of America's immigration battle isn't coming. It's already underway. And if you're wondering how serious it is, here's your answer. 8 convicted criminals now share the exact same legal status with about 11.7 million illegal immigrants in the United States. Starting this week.
I think you did a video on this.
Did I do the video? I won't read it then.
I think you
did. I did. But you know what? I was in such a hurry to get stuff out. Here you go. Here's a good one.
But the bottom line is the Supreme Court just told
ruled the right way.
Our president, it's like, yeah, don't worry about district court judges.
Thank you, sir. Very much. Thank you. Look up for biography, minimal, minuscule information. The internet has been scrubbed. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and of course, the lib nuts are going absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah, they are. They really are. Whoops.
You know, it's really funny when they uphold things like counting illegal aliens in the census, then the Supreme Court is okay.
Yeah.
When they do things that overturn Roe versus Wade or question birthright citizenship, then okay, Jimmy's getting excited.
I know. He's like, read it because you told me not to. So he's like, read it. But Jimmy, I did. She's right. I did a video on it. There's no reason to read it.
Listen, you want to read it? I didn't tell you not to, or at least I didn't mean to. I just said you did do a video on it. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't want to waste time on it. So I'm glad you told me. But
we got a lot to talk about. But you did do a video on it. So, hey, listen, you want to read it? I'm into it. It's a great story.
It's okay.
But
it's all right. Yeah, because I didn't know, but I put it on there so I wouldn't lose it, you know? All right, so let's do this one. Mark Penn describes how New York City primaries were manipulated to benefit this Marxist African. Okay. Former Clinton pollster Mark Penn appeared on Fox News Thursday to describe how the New York City primaries were manipulated to benefit Socialist Democrat New York Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani. With 88% of ballots counted, Mamdani was ahead with 43.5% of first-choice votes, while former Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo trailed with 36.3%. During an appearance on the Ingram Angle, Penn said the timing and structural shifts in the election process have significantly benefited far-left candidates at the expense of moderate Democrats because the powers that be in New York, they want the crazies. See, they're talking about pissing off billionaires so much that they leave New York. I'm like, I never got a job from a poor guy. How's that going to work? How are you going to have, like, can you imagine Yeah, I did do this video. Can you imagine like your supermarket becomes the DMV? So to get into the grocery store, you have to stand in line for a couple hours, and then you finally get inside. But now you got to sit in room and wait for your number to be called. Then your number gets called, and you go inside. There's hardly anything left for the day because everybody took it all because it's all free. And remember, nothing's free. A bill is always paid. So you, the taxpayer, who has to stand in line, then sit down in line, you're the one that's paying for all this crap. So this is a big problem, and there is a lot of panic, I think, in New York generally in terms of what can they do. How can they get someone in the general election? Remember, these primaries were played with, Penn told Laura Host Ingram. Well, let's watch it. And it
Drinking warm
rumbled.
water before bed
Damn
fixes
it.
tooth and gum problems overnight.
Hold on. This one.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox.
Are really caught here in a trap of their own making. They
Oh, he doesn't
really
know what to go.
gravitated toward the energy of the squad, and they enjoyed that, even though they know their views were too far left. But now the party's gone left because they didn't really deliver.
Okay.
What do they do here?
Sorry, guys.
Well, this is a big problem, and there is a lot of panic, I think, in New York generally in terms of what can they do, how can they get someone in the general election. Remember, these primaries were played with. This used to be in September, and there would have been a runoff between Zohan and Andrew Cuomo in the old system with much higher turnout. Right now, you have a city of 8 million people. 400,000 votes one way or the other here is determining an extreme move to the left, because this, and with a voting system nobody could figure out, because this has been played with and moved to like the dead of summer when turnout's going to be low and activists.
He's a former Clinton advisor, and he's jumping on this.
Can win the day. So we need to get our election system back. And right now, I think this is a really bad turn for the Democratic Party if something isn't figured out here before Election Day.
Yep. And he's right. But you know what? The Dems gave up on, they literally, they have given up on balance, fairness. They don't give a damn. They don't care. They've given up on
And they're
all
not
that.
even trying to hide it anymore.
I know, that's the thing. They're not trying to hide it. Hey, what's up, Jeff? I haven't seen you in a while.
So a
See you, man.
couple of things. I see a couple of things here. First of all, Mandami is obviously the Democrat nominee. Now, Eric Adams has said he's going to run as an independent, and Chris Cuomo has said he might run as a third party. So here's the question. Is that going to break up the Democrat vote enough that we could have a Republican elected?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's just a question. I don't have the answer. But the other thing is, think about it. Think about the good news if Mandami is mayor of New York. Maybe all the whack job leftoids will move to New York and out of the red states. Maybe they'll just all move there.
Well, that would be good if they just stayed there, right?
Yeah, just move there and but you know, the problem is they won't be able to stay there because there's going to be 8 million people that aren't working, and all of the people that had anything have moved out.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to end up.
All right, let's do the next one. Yeah, well, when they kick out the people that are making the money, but see, Trump did that to them the last time. Trump, in his first term, got rid of the SALT tax exemption. It stands for sales and local tax, okay? And what it was progressives have lost the ability to come up with new ideas to make their constituents' lives better. Okay, they just lost it. So they do one of two things. They offer everything as a gimme, gimme, gimme. What's going on, Chris? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. It's like a gimme, gimme, gimme. Oh, and the other Chris, hey, what's up, Chris? Didn't see you either. Sorry. Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. So it's either that or they go, oh, don't vote for that guy because he's a racist, that Republican, right? So they've just given up on that. And so what's happening is this is what this guy is doing, saying this is a free lunch, basically. You're going to get a free lunch and all that. But they don't seem to understand that they're not going to have the money to do it. They're going to crash and burn, right? Because if you kick all the billionaires out and they leave, just like Trump did in his first term, look what happened. Well, let me explain it first, and then I'll tell you what happened. Trump said, no, it's not fair. And the reason why is because progressives gave up everything. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Paca. Appreciate that, man. You too can be like Paca. All right. So anyway, so Trump said, wait a minute. He said, progressive states have all these crazy. What's up, Jeremiah? Good to see you, man. He said, you're exactly right, too. He said, progressive states are going to they make all these crazy laws that promise everything to everybody for votes. And then it's very, very unaffordable. So they got to raise taxes to the hilt. It's like, what is New York, like 12% now, something like that? I think I'm 1.6 or 1.4 in PA, 12%. And so what happens is the rich people said, I'm not going to pay that. We're out of here. And then the Democrats in the 70s said, just hold on. We'll fix it for you. And so they came up with the SALT where they said, look, you can write off your state income taxes on your federal income tax. And so they've been doing this for years. And so Trump comes along and goes, wait a minute. Washington, D.C. swamp is going to spend what they're going to spend no matter what. And so that means that people that don't live in these big progressive states, they have to subsidize the rich people in the progressive states because now their taxes are going to go up because these people write their taxes off because they have really bad policies and taxes there. So that's what that's all about. So now,
yeah, why should that exist at all?
I know.
You want to live where you want to live.
Scumbags, and they like a rigged system, no matter what the system is. That's
no. I mean, overall, though, you live where you want to live, and that's you do you, bro. You do you.
See, the thing is, they're people. I don't want to blame the constituents, but you can't call it oppression if you keep voting for it, and they keep voting for it.
Yep,
so it's not oppression if you keep voting for it, right?
You get what you voted for.
That's exactly right. So let me do.
And what they're going to do is they're going to try. I think New York tried this a few years ago when a bunch of people, big corporations, started moving out of New York, and big millionaires like Trump started moving out of New York, and they said, wait a minute, you can't leave. And it was like
exit tax they gave you.
Yes, I can.
California's exit tax. They told him if you
California's the one that put an exit tax on. I think New York said, well, you can leave, but you have to pay New York taxes anyway. Yeah. And they said, I don't think so.
Unconstitutional. You can't do that. Right.
I don't think so. Well, neither is the exit tax that California tried to put on.
Representation.
Yeah, so a bunch of people moved to Texas and they got bills from California.
Yeah, he said, kiss my ass.
Yeah, and that went to court. And they said, no, I don't think so.
You can't come back to California. Oh, no! Think about it.
Yeah, so the result is that SpaceX moves out of California.
Yeah, I should show some videos later on, guys, about Kensington Ave. Zombie land. It's crazy, man. They stand there bent half over because all the drugs
Kensington Avenue, isn't that like the worst spot in Philadelphia?
One of them. Yeah, for drugs and all that. Yeah. All right, let's do the next one, which is the one I'm going to do. Hang on. I'll come down here. So this guy explains it well. There's no such thing as a free grocery store. Zohran Mamdani, winner of the Democratic Party's New York City mayoral primary, which means he will be mayor, okay, is overflowing with Marxist ideas of how to govern that are, let me make it bigger, of how to govern that are so lousy that it's hard to believe he got more than his own vote in Tuesday's election. Well, his mother and father would vote for him, too.
You don't have the page up, by the way. I don't know if you wanted the page up, but it's not. There it is.
Oh, okay. It took a while. I did click it. Oh, how about that? Each of them is horrendous, from free bus services to rent control to punitive taxes on those who create prosperity, people who work but none are quite so laughable as the proposal to establish a chain of city-run grocery stores. Mamdani's campaign literature, overflowing with empty leftist jargon, says if elected, he will create a network of city-owned grocery stores focused on keeping prices low, not making a profit. The mission is lower prices, not price gouging. Let me stop here. Jade, what do you think? And what do you guys in the chat think? Do you think that they're doing these things? Because this is going to hit every single leftist city, okay? But do you think they're doing this because they want illegals to go there? Free food, free bus rides? Holy crap. We hit the mother load, right? Now, why would they want the illegals to come in? Because the census, right? The census is 5 years away. You get that many people established, and they get their congressional seat back, which means they get their elector back as well that they lost because too many Americans left their jurisdictions. They left the state because they don't like living as a prisoner of war, and they ran to the freedom of red states. So they lost congressional seats. With each congressional seat, you get an elector, and that's big in the presidential election. So I think they're doing this. This is like the canary in the coal mine, right? They want to see how this works out for New York, and then the other states are going to do it. But you know what? I don't think the other states are going to do it because it's going to collapse. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and every prediction that I've seen, granted it's 5 years away, but every prediction that I've seen is that the 2020 census is going to be devastating towards the Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be more states involved, as a matter of fact, in losing. In an interview, go ahead.
They may move a bunch of them to New York, but then they'll lose 2 whole states because of it.
Yeah. In an interview, wait, hold on. Do you know what else is going on? There's a lot of states right now that they have counties that want to secede to the next state.
Yes.
If you look into that, there are an awful lot. And guess what? They can legally do it. In an interview, the socialist Mamdani said
it'll never happen.
He said he wants a pilot program of one store in each borough that builds on the feasibility study that was done in Chicago. Chicago's another crazy ass thing where the progressives elected, what's his name? I am terrible with names now. Brandon Johnson, that's him, which incidentally was never released and has been put on a dusty shelf where it will grow moldy. Apparently, not even that city's Marxist mayor believed he could make the idea work because you can't. You're not going to have enough funds for the government to purchase food. I mean, Soviet Union, anybody? It's nearly impossible to imagine any adult would propose opening government-owned grocery stores. He wants the votes. The concept might make for spirited debate in a junior high social studies class. In the real world, though, there are consequences. But see, that's the thing with these progressives. They don't give a damn about consequences. You know why? Why? Because they live in gated communities where consequences never get in. That's why.
And once they're in power, the consequences don't matter because they're in power.
And they don't get consequences. And then also, if it gets so bad, the consequences do start to hit them, they have the means to just get up and move to another city and start ruining that one all over again.
Yeah, but they don't care about consequences. It doesn't hit them for sure, but they don't care because once they're in power, what do they care?
Right,
they're
they
in
don't
power.
give a
They're going
shit.
to rig the elections anyway. They're in power.
That's right. If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes location, says John, these names, man, the CEO of the Gristedes chain, which has been feeding New Yorkers for over 100 years. This should have, they don't like, the libs don't like the voluntary organizations that feed people. Like I know people that go, they help their churches distribute food to people, and that's so much better than government getting involved. This should alarm Mamdani. It won't. He'll be glad to get rid of the dirty profit monger who doesn't belong in his socialist utopia. Far from New York is Erie, Kansas, which became known as the small town that saved its only grocery store by buying it. The city took over Stubbs Market in early 2021 after learning that it was going to close. But it didn't go well. The Wall Street Journal reported in October 2023 that it was losing money almost every month. City clerk Jamie Jansen told the Journal that the goal was to narrow losses to under $100,000 this year. Yeah, we only want to lose $100,000. Losses had reached $132,000 the year before, even though the volunteers stocked the goods, some of which are donated by local businesses. Yeah,
Okay,
because
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
this is the adage. I'll let you. This is the adage. If you want to create a huge line, all you got to do is give away something for free. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I've run a business before, and you know, when you kind of add up the ones and zeros, losing money every month doesn't work out.
Yeah, it doesn't work out too well.
Well, you know, a new business has to do that for a while. You know that Amazon lost money for the first 5 years of its existence.
Oh yeah. So did Twitter. Twitter didn't make. I don't think Twitter turned a profit yet, but maybe under
but
Elon.
After a while, if you want to be viable, and you got to have a really good business plan to do this, because you got to go
Hey, what's
in
up,
and saying,
Pam?
okay,
Good to see you, girlfriend.
you got to go hunting the market. You got to know what you're doing. You got to establish that, okay, I'm going to take this much, you know, cash to support me for this many months. And you got to know what you're doing. You can't just say, oh, well, yeah, we're losing 100 grand a year.
The progressives in government, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They've never held a real job.
That's true.
So Mandami says his stewards won't have to pay rent or property taxes, which will therefore reduce overhead and pass on savings to shoppers. Are you kidding me? He thinks not having to pay rent or property taxes is going to make up for the sheer volume he's got. People in other counties are going to come in. So what is he going to do? On this first pilot program, they're going to get slaughtered with people. People from every other, all the other 4 counties are going to come in, the boroughs, I mean. They're going to come in and they're going to try and use it. So now they're going to go, papers, please. Could they see your papers to make sure you are from this place? I mean, they're going to arrest people if they come from a different borough to try to get free food.
You got to show your ID to get in.
It's just unbelievable. Yet in Erie, the store was costing the city quite a bit of money, and the city funds. When you're a municipality and you own a business like that, there's a lot of overhead. Yeah, because you got to have all those people that wouldn't get a job anywhere else, and you don't want them doing crime, so they got to start typing on computers. What they're typing, we don't know. Monkeys could do it faster, but we got to pay them somehow, right? This is what they do. Has Mamdani bothered to work out just how his stores would avoid costing the city quite a bit? Can he explain how stores will not have to pay rent when the city already leases tens of millions of square feet from private owners who are paid market rates? Yeah. So in other words, he's going to tell these grocery stores they're already leased. So he's going to tell the people that own the buildings, well, we're not going to pay rent to you. What? So what's he going to do? Is he going to, I guess, municipalize it? I couldn't say national. Is he going to municipalize it, if that's a word? I mean, it's unbelievable. Unlikely on both counts. The 33-year-old is a typical know-it-all who actually knows nothing. Well, that describes a progressive, right? It's the Dunning-Kruger effect with every one of them. His real-world experience is less than that of a typical high school student from flyover country. It's because he's never worked a real job in his life. Before being elected to the New York State Assembly in 2020, Mamdani only managed to string together 3 years of employment. Really? He did? That's the first I heard, writes Manhattan Institute's Rob Henderson in the London Telegraph. This includes a short-lived rap career. That's right. He never got paid. That's right. Did you see that video? Holy mackerel. Did you see it? He has a rap video out. It's awful.
I didn't see him doing any rap.
Oh, I'll show it to you tonight.
But I heard about that.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
This includes a short-lived rap career and a spell on a film project for his mother, an acclaimed director. He has even joked, nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Beware the offspring of privilege who want to use the government to magically improve the lives of the lowly and the struggling because they know better. The results are always calamitous. Abso-freaking-lutely. They always are.
And I had seen this before you talked about it on your video, but the interesting part is who voted for this guy. It's
I know.
The white liberals.
Yeah, exactly. You got
the Hispanic areas and black areas didn't vote for him. They voted overwhelmingly for Cuomo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Blacks and Hispanics voted for Cuomo. You know why? Because they were smart enough to know this guy's going to screw us over. Mamdani.
So the white liberals again are suffering from TDS at level 5 or 6, which causes, amongst other things, political blindness.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, the Dems are absolutely panicking. They're panicking about this because, like, and we're talking regular Dems, not the progressives. The progressives are having orgasms over this shit because they think, oh, we're gonna ruin every city with this. So here we go. It says, need proof that Democrats are panicking about Mamdani's victory. Nah, get out of here. Democrats are uneasy about socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani's recent victory in the Democratic primary in New York City mayor. And nowhere was that discomfort more obvious than in House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' evasive response when an anchor pressed him about Mamdani's ideology. See, the guys now that are about to come to power, they're very high up in the, how should I say it, the crazy left-wing scale. And so they're at the point where they don't want to let people know. Remember how they used to not want to let people know they're communists? Well, now they don't care, but the really serious ones that want to like shoot you if you don't like give so much of your money, that kind of thing. On MSNBC's Morning Joe Scarborough put Jeffries on the spot, asking him if Mamdani's far left views on economic issues and Israel were the kind of ideology Democrats should embrace in 2026. Instead of addressing the question, Jeffries pivoted hard, steering the conversation away from Mamdani entirely and onto, you guessed it, Donald Trump, because Donald Trump lives in their heads rent-free, 24/7. Quote, well, from the standpoint of House Democrats and what our focus has been, clearly we have an affordability crisis in the United States of America, and our focus will continue to be on driving down the high cost of living in this country, the high cost of living that his party created, right? His party created everything. His party created when they spent all that money for Joe Biden. The inflation was just, everybody warned him, you're going to have inflation. Even Clinton's economic advisor told him, you're going to have runaway inflation. Oh, no, we're not. And then we hear it's transitory. And then we hear, oh, well, it's not transitory. But, we're not, it's the old, we're not having inflation. If we are, it's a good thing, right? He shifted the blame to Trump, declaring Donald Trump promised lower costs on day one. Anybody with a triple-digit IQ knows that when he said we're going to lower costs on day one, what he meant was we're going to turn those policies around on day one. He wasn't actually, see, they take him literally, we take him seriously. He wasn't actually seriously saying, well, on day one, all those prices are going to turn around. That's not what he was saying. He was saying we will lower prices starting on day one. And anybody with a brain knows he meant we're gonna get rid of these crap policies that the Democrats have in there, and then you're going to see things. Look at gas. Gas went down a lot. Food eggs went down. Everybody cried about eggs. Costs haven't gone down. They're going up, and this guy is also saying that Donald Trump has the worst the worst numbers ever. Like his polling numbers are really bad. He's got the highest rated numbers he's ever had. He's like, what? He's at like 54% when this clown said this. So costs haven't gone down, they're going up. He's crashing the economy in real time. His tariffs are going to impose thousands of dollars in additional costs on everyday Americans per year, and he may even be driving us toward a recession. See, that's the talking points memo that went out to Democrats to say, and he's stupid enough to repeat it. For what it's worth,
got nothing else. They've got nothing else.
Right. For what it's worth,
Orange Man bad. That's the only thing they've got.
Right. For what it's worth, no one is predicting a recession anymore. But I digress. Jeffrey's refusal to engage with the question about Mamdani's ideology spoke volumes. It's the reason why Donald Trump has become so unpopular. He's not unpopular, not with us. It's because he's failed the country on the economy. And this jackass said absolutely nothing when Joe Biden got Moody's to lower us a rating, right? When he caused inflation that really hit home, when people start, when gas was nearing $4 a gallon, that's the mark. And some places it was $5, but that's the mark where Americans say, you know what? we have to decide, do we take the kids out for ice cream on the weekends or do we go to work with the gas situation? Can we go on vacation this year because of the gas situation? That is the point. And that's when usually when politicians realize, you know what, this isn't going to be good for me or the party, so I better change course. Biden never changed course. He didn't give a damn. And, well, he didn't know he didn't give a damn. Let's put it that way. His people, his handlers never changed. And so our vision is going to be for an affordable America, work hard, play by the rules. Since when? I don't even want to read his shit anymore. Since when have they ever given a damn about the American people? They just want power. That's all they care about.
That's what it's all about, Rich.
Yeah. Yeah, $4 would be cheap here. Exactly. Yeah. Hey, guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor and hit the like button. I see, what do we have so far? We got a good number already.
26.
26 is it up to? Let me see. I had 23. Just refresh.
I had
I have
26. Now
24.
it says 24.
Yeah, I have 24. 2 people took it off. Well, screw you. Yeah. $4. Let's see.
Well.
Supreme Court allows. Yeah, here we go. This is a good one. For me, this is a feel good. So, the Supreme Court allows states to cut off Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood. About freaking time. They always made that lie up. Well, the Medicaid that goes to, I mean, come on, please. It's going towards the board. The Supreme Court is allowing South Carolina to cut off Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood, a win for pro-lifers that will likely clear the way for red states across the country to stop taxpayer dollars from funding abortion. Don't we have something called the Hyde Amendment? Didn't we have that where you're not allowed to use government tax dollars? I guess the states would be different then. But then we could take money away from them, like highway funds, like the Democrats always do when you don't do something they like. If they start doing
but money is fungible. So if you if you put it into the highway, they just don't have to spend something, and that they can put it towards that.
Right, so, but the thing is, what Planned Parenthood, which I called the politically correct death squad, what they've always said was, okay, so we have two sides. The one side does abortion, the other side does women's care. No, they don't. They don't. Most of those, they'll give you a pamphlet or a phone number and a card of where you can go to get the service done.
Well, you can go there like that. At Planned Parenthood, we'll give you birth control pills. They'll do pap smears. But yeah, their main thing is
most of them, no, they did a study on this. They found out that most of them don't do it anymore because what the states did, many of the states, like in Texas, for example, they were the first ones. This was when in Philly, that Dr. Death, what was his name? Gordon, I forget his last name, but he was a guy that murdered a lot of babies, right? Well, in Texas, they said, you know what? We have standards that doctors' offices have to go through. I'm sure your doctor's office, you had to go through it where inspectors come in, everything has to be clean, sterile, all that crap, right? Well, abortion clinics never had that because it was the third rail of politics. And any politician that said, hey, you think for your patients you would want to have these same things, he'd be out of a job. Okay, so they never did it. So Texas did a study and found a number of women died because to cut corners, they weren't sterilizing their equipment after each patient. Are you kidding me? And so they came out and said, look, you got to have the same standards of other clinics that do the same type of work. Like if you're working on the human body, okay? Like you got to have certain standards that you got to meet. And so the politically correct death squad came out and bitched and griped saying, oh, they're going to shut us all down. Well, no, you would shut yourself down because you don't want to put the money out to do the things that it takes to be up to code with what every other clinic in the state has to do. So that there was that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that specific thing, but to have a medical license for either an individual or a facility, there are certain standards. Now, do certain doctors break them? Yes.
I'll tell you what. This is the truth. When that doctor, what the hell was his name? If you guys remember his name.
Somebody said Kevorkian.
No, Kevorkian. No. Hang on. call him not Dr. Death. What the hell was he called? Kermit Gosnell. That's his name. There was a
Okay,
movie
I think
about
I
him.
might
too.
have heard that.
Yeah, Kermit Gosnell. Okay. When Kermit Gosnell got hit with all that, another study came out and said that in Philadelphia, people knew he was doing that, but nobody wanted to do a damn thing about it. He was cutting corners so bad that women died. Okay. Because they just weren't up to any kind of a standard, right? They wanted to cut corners, save money. And so, nobody was looking at them. They didn't even have the fear of somebody coming out and checking them out, right? So they found out, they went to the state legislature, which was Republican controlled through all that time. And they said, why did you guys send anybody down? They're like, we have the laws, that the department is there. Why didn't you send anybody down? Well, because it's the third rail of politics. I couldn't believe when I heard that. They said, your party will lose a majority if you go against that, because the politically correct death squad, they got loud voices and they pay a shit ton of money. Your money, by the way, they pay the federal tax dollars that you get to buy off a lot of politicians. So the whole thing's crazy. So the justices ruled 6-3. Guess who the three were? It's becoming a joke now. I saw Glenn Beck and he goes to Stu. He goes, so the ruling was, what do you think? And he goes, 6-3. It's become a joke now because the three lib nuts are always the only ones. 6-3 along ideological lines Thursday to permit South Carolina to cut off Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood. Justice Gorsuch wrote the majority opinion for the court, siding with the state against a private challenge brought by the abortion provider and a patient. We don't need to read the rest of it. It's just now your tax dollars through Medicaid don't have to go there anymore. And
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a good thing. I know Kermit. Hi ho, Kermit
It's-
the Frog here. I know. It's crazy.
here's an interesting comparison. If this is an elective
Wow.
procedure, so if you go get plastic surgery, Medicare won't pay for that. It's
Right.
an elective,
Yeah,
unnecessary
but
medical
Medicare
procedure.
doesn't have a bunch of screaming women that have high-priced lawyers going into court and lobbying.
Yes, well, obviously this one went through, so that's
You don't
good.
have gas. You have a Tesla. Let me say it. And I'm jealous, by the way.
Yeah,
Don't
Pam, I
break
drive a
that.
Tesla as well. I
Yeah.
drive a Tesla.
That's right. You have a Tesla. Yeah.
I got a Tesla. I listen, Rich, I am determined to solve climate change one Tesla vehicle at a time.
There you go. That's good. So you're a good citizen.
Everybody, that's sarcasm. It's a little sarcasm there, boy.
Yeah. There we go. The libs freak. This is Benny. Yeah, this is Benny Johnson. It's 17 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but the beginning is pretty good. I got a shush. Oh no, I got a shush. Let's see. Ready? Let's start over again. Libs freak as Bill Maher announces he has left the Democrat.
Son of a...
What's up, guys? It's Benny. I want to be very realistic and set the table for this video. I'm not a Bill Maher fan. I don't believe that Bill Maher is MAGA, right? That's called red pilling, and it's not true. I also don't believe that Bill Maher just hates us and hates Trump and will always just be a brain dead lib. Like, that's black pilling. That's also not true. What's happening right now with Bill Maher is white pilling, meaning Bill Maher is just simply opening up his eyes and recognizing the world around him and calling balls and strikes. And it's kind of a beautiful thing to see somebody with just some intellectual honesty engaging in good faith arguments, bringing in a ton of people from a ton of different backgrounds and having challenging conversations. Maybe you'll agree with it, maybe you won't. But you kind of get that Fetterman vibe where it's like, at the very least, like they're trying to see the world like without the sort of broke brain NPC mindset.
Had to go nuts for him to do
programming,
that.
and it's a good thing. Right? I think that we're being honest about that. And I went and had dinner with Trump. Again, he didn't leave with a red hat sewn to his head. And he didn't leave by setting the White House on fire, right? It's like kind of good, like middle ground. Anyway, the point is that I really appreciate the guy's going on a journey and he's taking us along with him. And a lot of people are paying attention, and that's a good thing. Bill Maher straight up telling CNN, the Democratic Party not only is stupid, their ideas are going to destroy the party. He doesn't believe that he is a Democrat anymore. Listen to this.
So I'm going to call it out wherever I see it. I mean, there are things that have to do with, gender and race and free speech and just ideas about, you can be healthy at any weight, and gender is always a social construct, and maybe we should give communism another try, and maybe we should get rid of capitalism and the border patrol, and let's tear down statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no, it's not that I've gotten old. It's that your ideas are stupid. Okay.
That
At
guy.
least you can see the uncomfortable, smirking smug on the CNN anchor's face.
Yeah, he's a piece of crap.
This was something that Bill Maher said just a few months ago, but this is something that Bill Maher said just this week that has also really struck a nerve. President Trump has changed Bill Maher, man. I'm telling you. Bill Maher corrects guests that says that he left the Democrat Party. He said he was never there to begin with. Late night host stunned the internet by saying,
let me tell you something, guys. I used to be a C-SPAN junkie in the 80s and the early 90s, okay? I would watch C-SPAN all the time because it was the only thing you could watch, like the political stuff, where all they did was, they're like RSBN. They put the camera on and walked away. They didn't get invited. You didn't hear some libnut trying to justify what somebody said, right? And I used to watch a lot of times on C-SPAN, there were dinners. And I used to like to listen to the speakers, right? And in every Republican dinner, Bill Maher had a table. He didn't have tables at the Democrat ones. He was at every single one. And that struck me when he became a libnut.
he's not a woke supremacist and a member of the most intolerant party in a savaging of the Democrat Party. Bill Maher says he never left the Democrat Party because he was never there to begin with. I never was a Democrat to begin with, says Bill Maher during his podcast released with actor Asai Morales. Never heard of him. I always liked caucused with the Democrats. I generally voted for them. But Bill Maher said that he was not a member of the Democrat Party and that he thought that there was a day when the Democrat Party was not as insane as the Republican Party. I think I always vote for them, but I always look at it as like, no, I'm gonna actually make up my mind. They just always are less scary and insane.
Let me interrupt here for another second. I'm sorry, guys, that I do this, but you know me. He was right about saying they're not as insane that the Republicans, right? Less scary and insane than the Republicans. And he's right about that, because when the Republicans, when the establishment types ran the Republican Party, they did come up with some stupid stuff. They just did. And tried to push a lot of things on. They were not the party of freedom. They didn't do the woke shit like defunding the police and all that, but they were war hawks. They loved getting us into wars, right? A lot of stuff like that. And so he's right when he says that, but it took him a very long time to realize that the Democrats were pure scum and evil.
And the Republicans. But I wait for a day that
No
evens
offense to any
out.
Democrats.
Well, maybe the day is now because Bill Maher is having dinner with Donald Trump, right? Here's the shock clip that has sent the internet screaming, especially a lot of Bill Maher's fans. And I have a thought on this. Here we go. All right, this is the clip that that lit the internet on fire. Bill Maher suggests Democrats are getting too crazy, and he's going to vote Republican.
Yeah, watch
I was never a Democrat to begin with.
We as human beings are extremely contradictory.
Oh, well, of course.
Okay. So for me, political parties, like, I'm too old for parties now. I love when you said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The party left me.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. I heard you say that.
No. I didn't.
What did you say? I heard you say that.
What you're doing, which is not wrong, is you're conflating what people have said in the past about leaving parties with.
But I recall
wait, I know me better than you know.
I don't know.
I'm just going to tell you, you're putting a title on an actual quote on something that somewhat accurately expresses my point of view. I understand why you said, but I never said that because I never was a Democrat to begin with. I always caucused with the Democrats, and I generally vote for them. I think always vote for them, but I always look at it and no, I'm going to actually make up my mind. They just always are less scary and insane than the Republicans. But I wait for the day when it evens out. We're approaching that because they have gotten crazier, and that's a lot of what you're referencing. But I never said I left the party because I wasn't there to begin
Well,
with.
you said something similar.
Very similar. I'm telling you, you have the general feeling
Yes,
right,
okay.
but not that exact quote and not that exact feeling, because it's more than party. It's more like left and right.
Yeah.
The language changes, and I'm sorry, but woke got to be an eye roll.
Yeah.
It wasn't originally, but it got to be an eye roll for every crazy, way too far left, non-commonsensical bullshit.
My favorite term was woke supremacist. I love that because
you made that up.
No, I saw that and I thought this is
I read
brilliant.
the book. There's a book
Somebody's a
called
woke supremacist pretending to be all what's the word, tolerant, and they're the most intolerant sometimes.
They really are.
And it's they want to cancel people at the drop of a hat. I'm like, that's somebody's living. You're like, relax, you know. The point I was trying to make was why I've always identified with the Democratic Party, and I still identify as a liberal at heart. You know, at heart,
I
I'm
voted
a liberal.
for.
You know what my definition of liberal is? Is someone who wants to change the status quo for the better. You liberate yourselves from
You know what I always say to the
and conservative is someone who wants to conserve what works, what's good. And I think
what
we
I
need
always
to
say
do
to
both.
the super woke?
Tell me.
We voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Ooh.
What? Knife? You're saying I put the knife in, right?
No, but it's truth.
I love to put the knife in.
No, but you do.
I don't
But you know, I haven't
apologize
always.
for it.
Absolutely wild. And here's the thing I'd say about this, Bill Maher, is he actually is putting something at risk by doing this. Bill Maher has a lot more to lose than he has to gain.
He does.
Because he had a really solid left-wing audience. And Bill Maher is putting that at risk by going on.
I don't think he cares.
Sort of
He's got more money than he'll ever be able to spend.
Journey of realization politically. And instead of like taking the easy paycheck and just repeating NPC talking points, he's like actually, I think, doing his best to try and figure this out, figure out this current political landscape.
Another
He doesn't quite know where he fits in
break
it.
it then.
So the easy path out is just take the talking points, right? You go watch The View every single day. You can listen to the talking points. Go turn on the MSNBC or CNN. You hear the talking points. What Bill Maher is doing is he's like challenging them. And it's like a beautiful thing. Then he's challenging like the real broke brains. Like he's like, so when you see him up against the end stage, the final boss of that movement, which is degenerate Sean Penn here with his like taped up sneakers, it's incredible. You know, Bill Maher gutting at Sean Penn made fun of Bill Maher for having dinner with Trump. And Bill Maher,
yes, this I want to hear.
Guts him like a pig. Here we go.
I have not been invited. The only reason I would not accept an invitation is because I see no it's a long flight.
Sean
I
Penn.
see no
Really? You'll meet with fucking
I don't think
Castro and Hugo Chavez, but not the president of the United States?
Yeah, I saw good results come out of some of those things in terms of agendas that I had. I don't think that there's anything that I would I just personally wouldn't trust anything that was said in the room, including the personality.
It's not a matter of trusting it. It's a matter of seeing it, matter of experiencing, matter of knowing it.
Yeah, it's an
more knowledge. It's like saying I don't want this medical test because I don't want to know. I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to. Okay.
Fair
so
enough.
yeah, I mean,
I have some good friends that are.
I said this many times within the piece when I did it that like it's up to. I'm just giving you the report. It's up to you to make the decision. Who do you think is the real guy? I'm telling you.
Bobbity.
There's a very different guy behind closed doors in a different setting. Now,
or capable of performatively seeing that. Yeah.
Well, one of the my my friends who believe in astrology would say he's a Gemini. Of course, there's two of them. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Other people will say, well, the real guy is the guy you met, and he's playing this clown on TV. And other people will say the reverse. He's it seems harder to do the reverse. I mean, can you really pretend to be sane? You can pretend to be insane. I think it's harder to pretend to be sane. to be measured and like all the things I said, which is just what happened.
Mhm.
So again, there's three parts of this. Would you go to the dinner? I think you're crazy not to want to see up close the person who's this important in everybody's lives for the last decade.
You know, I
Two, are you
completely
going?
understand that.
Two, are you going to lie about it? I'm sorry, I'm not a liar. I don't lie, so I told the truth. And then three, do I go back to doing what I always did? Yes, I did.
Yeah, but you could have told more truth, or you could have told less truth.
I told
I'm
a
just
lot of
saying,
truth. I told
would have been-
everything.
I would have enjoyed a little more brevity on that, but I absolutely understand the
But
dinner
that's just
items.
emotional. You were just triggered.
It's possible. It's possible. It's true that.
But I
for
would
some
like to.
reason, this particular president triggers me rather often.
Exactly. He makes people crazy, but he's not making me crazy. But so you really wouldn't go?
No, I don't. I'm not saying I think
should
I
go.
wouldn't, because let me put it this way: what I know I would not do.
Especially, he's very.
I would not go. Let's say, so for example, when we talk about this very
I'm
different.
going to tell you, I played Maher's explanation of what it was like to go to dinner at Trump's White House, and he came out. It came out where he said, "I like the guy." He didn't say it, but you could tell I like the guy. And then he had to do the due diligence for the lefties, the libnuts, and start busting his balls and making fun of him. But you can tell he loved the experience.
President of Uruguay. There were things that Uruguay had models of in development.
We're going to watch
very
this whole
helpful to
thing.
Haiti, and I went to see if we could get some training
Sorry, what?
We going to watch the whole thing?
Probably now, because there's only a little bit left.
from them, and so on and so forth.
I find it
which we did. And whereas if I were, let's say, representing a cause celeb, say it was Ukraine, say it was whatever it was, I would not fool myself that I was going to get anywhere with him. I know that I wouldn't. I know that I would have no influence.
Bad attitude. You don't know.
He does. I'm glad. See, Bill Maher doesn't fuck around. He does have a really bad attitude because he's a libnut. And let's face it, he only got famous because he married Madonna. You know, it was after that he became the famous actor. I don't think he was famous at all before that, like truly famous.
That you don't know anything. He's a guy who frequently seems to go by what the last thing he heard was. He's everything with. I'll tell you this about Donald Trump, and you don't know it because you don't go to dinners. It's all about.
I didn't go to dinner with President Trump. That's true.
You should. It's all about personal relationships.
I've not been invited.
Okay, I will get you an invite. He's a star fucker in a way. I bet you he would like to meet you. And you would have a...
Yeah, he'll see the show. He says, if I see him, they're going to call me a star
I don't
fucker.
think he watches the podcast. He does watch the show.
He's
a faithful viewer.
He's got people that do his thing. You know, Dan Bongino would be knocking on your door if you didn't go to dinner.
See,
that's not why I did it. And it could work out the other way. You don't know. He's very unpredictable.
Yeah,
and that's where you actually see the incredible evolution of Bill Maher's political ideas.
Yeah,
is in clips like that. When he's faced with NPC thinking and left wing smooth.
Yeah, we're done. But I felt that was very informative of watching Bill Maher arguing with Sean Penn about Trump. I could not give that up. Did we do this
So
one?
do you want to do a Dr. Jade minute now?
Oh yeah, we could do that. You got something?
I got it. Listen, guys. Well, you can run the intro and then I'll say it.
Oh, okay, cool. Here we go.
It's a Dr. Jade moment.
All right, there you go, Dr. Jade. It's all you.
Okay, so this is kind of a bit of a thought experiment. I changed my mind as I started looking and rereading the document. What I want to talk about is the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment is very interesting, and some of it's very clear, and some of it's not so clear. So, obviously, I'm not talking about removing President Trump. Hopefully nobody ever, would think that. But here's the thing. It's in four sections. So Article 1 is if the president dies or resigns, immediately the vice president becomes president. Section 2 is about the vice president and filling that vacancy. Section 3 is for basically a temporary like the president's got to go for surgery, so a temporary disability, and the vice president writes a letter, and then when he's done, and the vice president doesn't become president in that case, but becomes acting president. This is very important. So you get to Section 4 where the interesting part is, and it reads in part, I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, basically the vice president has to get a bunch of people to tell the Senate president and the Speaker of the House that that these people have agreed that the president is no longer functional.
Right.
So if you think about this, why didn't we see this? Why didn't we see this? Here's the interesting thought part, because this is where it gets really scary. If Kamala would have picked up the phone and called at that point Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and said, get your ass together, we need to do this.
Right.
And she then would have taken over from Joe. And if she served less than 2 years of his term,
and
she's eligible.
Yeah.
No, for 2. She
Right.
can run for 2 full terms more.
Right. Right.
So now she goes into 2024 as the incumbent. Yeah, rotting oatmeal for brains. Yeah.
I call them warm diarrhea brains, but go ahead.
Yeah, but if she would have done that, if she served less than a term, she would have had, say, 2 years. If she waited to like 2 years plus 1 month,
right,
got into that position, she would have had basically 2 years. Well, let's just say a full year or a little more to campaign.
Right. Oh yeah, she could have made out, but there's a reality.
No, wait.
I'll let you
finish the thought here. You already know where I'm going with this, but from the most important bully pulpit in the world, she would have been out there talking with great authority. And then what would have happened? There was a race. She could technically have won 2024. And then do you think that then in the next 4 years, she wouldn't have been able to rig things that she wouldn't have won 2028? So now we're looking at 10 years of Kamala Harris. If that doesn't send a shudder up your back.
Oh yeah.
Now here's the thought experiment. Why didn't she do that?
I'm going to give you my opinion on that. And
Okay,
here it is.
But one more
Go ahead.
thing.
Give me
The
yours.
thing is, my thought is, it's too bad that she didn't have any schooling in the law or know anything about the Constitution, right? It's just a shame because she could have exercised that.
Right.
The point being, before you give your point, that if they wanted Joe so much that she was bullied away from doing that, then how did they all of a sudden turn and think that she was the next best thing since sliced white bread?
Okay, now let me give you my opinion why. Number one, she didn't have the power to do that. She didn't. She was the vice president. She didn't have the power.
You don't think she had enough people that she could have?
No, because people thought she was a blithering idiot. Okay. As a matter of fact, Barack put the word out to find someone else, and her name never came up.
Yeah, but
And
then
it was
why did they want her so much after Joe?
The way that she got it was because she stepped up and basically told them, I'm running and I control the money. Because it was the Biden-Harris campaign, therefore legally she had the money that was donated, the fundraising. All right. So she had that money. But they did look for other people, but they realized that at that point, they didn't have enough time to do fundraising and to do campaigning to bring that third person in and have any chance of winning.
So you're thinking that they would have picked somebody besides Kamala?
Yes, but they couldn't.
Except for the fact if they would have deep selected beyond a black woman, they never would have.
Well, that's another problem they had. But see, the thing is, she came out and said, no, this is mine, and you are not messing with me because I'll take the money and run. She said she could impound it, if you will. Not technically.
Yeah, but why didn't she do that?
Because she wanted to run.
For instance, after the Her report, she could have taken a copy of that report.
No, she didn't have the power. Look, she never had the power, and Joe never had the power. Okay, they were people behind the scenes that were doing everything. Hey, what's up, Linda? Good to see you, girlfriend.
Yeah, there was who ran the country, in my opinion, was a bunch of people in a room where you don't know where the room is and you wouldn't recognize the names of any people in that room.
Right.
That's my opinion.
But see, they were going to keep pushing. Like, there was a story that came out that all the subordinates, not interns, but the people that did all the work around and got him ready and all that, they were saying that they could prop him up, that they could get him to win against Trump, which was never going to happen. But they said they could get him to win against Trump, and that they would rule and just have to put Joe out every now and then, which is essentially what they did anyway.
Yeah,
right?
But here's the thing. After Robert Hur wrote his report, it was clear in writing, the FBI knew it, the rest of the government knew it, everybody knew it.
Right.
Everybody knew it. The Republicans knew it. The reason the Republicans didn't push it is because they didn't want to have to deal with Kamala as president.
Right. She's a lunatic, but
she's a total lunatic. But
yeah,
but everybody knew it. And Kamala could have taken that report and walked into Nancy Pelosi's office and said, he is unfit. I am now president.
Look, you know it, and I know it, and everybody here knows it. They all knew that Joe had warm diarrhea brains. It wasn't until that debate that
that's when it fell apart.
It wasn't just us that saw it, Americans. The world was watching. And when he stood there, like, he looked like an old man that was terrified of falling because he would break everything. That's what he looked like. Either that or an old drunk that was looking for the bathroom. That's what he looked like up there. And the things that he said, could you carry your own bag? Can you think you can do that? It's like, whoa, Joe, oh my God. And the fact that Trump behaved like a gentleman with him as best he could. Okay, like the worst he did was said, I really don't know what he just said, and I don't think he does either. And then at one point he said, come on, let's not act like children. Remember that?
Yeah.
He said, let's not act like children here. Like that. And that was, Trump won it hands down.
Yeah.
Right. And he beat Kamala too in hers. But because she acted very childish during that, because of the things that he said, and he said things that they all laughed at him, but he was 100% right, and he was vindicated afterwards because now he has all the documents and he knows what they did. All right, we're going to beat that to death, so we're going to do another one.
Yeah, I don't want to keep going any more than we have. I just think it's an interesting thought experiment because in keeping with the spirit of the 25th Amendment, Kamala Harris was president. However, Article 4 is very specific about the procedure that you have to go through.
Oh, I understand. Let me do this. Oh, God, I thought you were done. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, and that was not done.
I'm with her.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was not done, and it makes me wonder a little bit why. But obviously, the biggest answer to that question is the average people like us are never really going to know what goes on behind the scenes in DC.
Yeah. I'm going to play this. We got to move
Anyway,
on.
that's my thought for this week. It's not earth shattering, but I thought it was
you made the exact right points though. You were spot on.
It's a very interesting thought experiment because technically, in keeping with the spirit of the 25th Amendment, Kamala Harris was president after Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it didn't get fulfilled.
Oh yeah, me too.
Can you imagine 10 years of Kamala Harris as president?
The only reason why they wanted to put up with her was because if she won by any stretch, I don't think they could have put anybody up. Even Michael Obama wouldn't have beaten Trump at that point. But I think the only reason why they wanted to put her up there because she would be the first black woman president and first woman president. They love first. Yeah. Democrats are all about first.
The Democrats could not. That's the other thing is the Democrats could not deep select around Kamala. It would have killed them. They couldn't do it.
To you. Sheila spoke to you.
Thank you, Sheila.
There you go.
I know you always look forward to these. I appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. This next thing, it's a video. It's a minute and 47 seconds. It's Rush Limbaugh nearly 2 decades ago giving his laws of immigration. It's fantastic. Watch this.
Everybody's making immigration proposals these days. Let me add mine to the mix. Call it the Limbaugh laws. First, you immigrate to our country, you have to speak the native language. You have to be a professional or an investor. No unskilled workers allowed. Also, there'll be no special bilingual programs in the schools with the Limbaugh laws, no special ballots for elections, no government business will be conducted in your language. Foreigners will not have the right to vote or hold
What happened?
Political office.
Yeah. That's Rumble. Oh, come on, Rumble. Really?
Have the right to vote or hold political office. If you're in our country, you cannot be a burden to taxpayers.
Oh, I can't believe.
You are.
I can't believe they're doing that.
Are not entitled to welfare.
Oh man, they're killing me. Oh no, they're killing me. It was so good.
Or food stamps or other government goodies. You can come if you invest here.
Isn't that what Trump said? The investment thing. I redid it because maybe it'll work.
My husband begged me to stop doing the ice salt trick after I lost 11 pounds in just 1 week. Today I'm here to show you.
Sorry, guys. Man.
Good day.
The commercials seem to work fine.
Welcome to this video. I know you are here because of the pink.
An amount equal to 40,000 times a daily minimum wage. If not, stay home. But if you want to buy land, it'll be restricted. No waterfront, for instance. And as a foreigner, you have to relinquish individual rights to the property. And another thing, you don't have the right to protest. You're allowed no demonstrations, no foreign flag waving, no political organizing, no bad-mouthing our president or his policies. You're a foreigner. Shut your mouth or get out. And if you come here illegally, you're going to jail. Now, you think the Limbaugh laws are harsh? Well, every one of the laws I just mentioned are actual laws of Mexico today.
Mexico.
That's how the Mexican government handles immigrants to their country.
Yes.
Yep.
Died again. Oh, well.
Mexicans come here illegally and protest in our street.
That'll never happen there. Hold on.
How do you say double standard in Spanish? How about no más?
Yeah. Stop. No more. Yeah. Oh, well.
God bless Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, I know.
I hope he is resting well.
Yeah, I'm really pissed that they screwed that up. Probably because it was old.
We got the gist, though.
Yeah. But he was
it's true. I've seen that before. You can't buy choice property, even like, never mind waterfront, but like corner property, any choice property, apparently not.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's how it is. That's how it is there. You have to prove, in Mexico, you have to prove that you can actually sustain yourself. You have to prove it before you can even walk in there. But then again, how many people who can do that are trying to get into Mexico today? Think about it.
I'm not sure I see a lot of people breaking down the doors to get into Mexico.
I know. Now, a lot of people will go there because there's still a lot of nice places left, but they'll go there to retire.
Although interesting, our
like Brett Battles,
contractor,
one of my favorite authors, he did that.
our contractor is a first generation American. His parents were born in Mexico, and he goes to Mexico, and he says actually they're starting to do pretty well there. I guess there's lots of opportunity, lots of jobs. So maybe things are getting a little better. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see. I tried proving I could sustain myself, but ended up showing I could only vibrato.
If I had my drums.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's get rid of that. All right.
And you want an even better one?
Yeah.
What Rush said is correct, but Japan, you can't immigrate to. There is no
Yeah, I know.
immigration. There is no immigration department. You can visit there, and you can be a long-term resident.
Yeah.
You can live there for 20 or 30 years. You will never be Japanese.
They're racist AF too. You know that?
Oh yeah.
Like like in the Olympics, they had on their team was a guy that was from Korea, South Korea, and they made him shave his head the way that to look like a Japanese. They made him cut his hair differently, and he had to grow the little side things. They made him do that, or he couldn't perform. So they could say he was, Korean and all, but he had to present himself to look like a Japanese athlete. You mean the Moors, or like when they took over? Moops, Moors, Moops. You ever see that on Seinfeld? Moops, Moors. That was the best.
Well, there was a whole bunch of people that came out of the Middle East and Northern Africa, went into Spain.
Yeah. Yeah, they and it was for like hundreds of years, and then they moved up north, the Spaniards, to live. But they never here's the thing, they never gave up the idea that was their land.
Yeah, some people postulate that was the lost tribe of Israel that came across it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people said. In fact, Bibi one time talked about that when he pointed out, he said, that the Moors attacked the Muslims, they attacked, and the people in Spain moved up northern Spain, because they wouldn't go into the mountains, right? The snow and all that. And so he said they never gave up the idea. And he said 450 years later, or whatever it was, he said, they had another war and they won and they took over the land again. And he was saying that because he said the same thing happened in Israel. They never gave up the idea that it was their land. They were conquered multiple times and had to get out, but there were always people that lived there all the time. So that's,
who's like that? You know who else is like that?
What's that?
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Vietnam has been occupied, but it's never been conquered.
Right. Yeah,
the French occupied it.
Right.
The Russians, the Americans.
Right.
They've never been conquered.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
They wear you down.
Well, some people, they shake their head and they say, how can, a society consisting of men who average 5'5" or 5'6" and whose culture is completely comfortable with men walking down the street holding hands.
Right.
And how can that be such a force that nobody's ever been? But it is. But part of that too is like in Vietnam, casualty rate was like 20-1. But the problem is we were on their land and they were willing to pay that price.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you know that men who are just friends in India, they walk down the street holding pinkies.
Yeah.
Nobody says a thing about it. It's a normal.
That's cultural
norm.
Norms.
Normal thing. Yeah.
And same in Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. Somebody after the Vietnam War asked one of the I don't know if it was a foreign secretary or who it was, but they asked them about repatriation of American remains. And it's like, yeah, we've lost like several thousand soldiers. And the guy just laughed at him. He says, yeah, we have like 2 million people unaccounted for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But,
crazy.
Anyway.
So let's go. Let's see. Let me go up to the top. Go back here, up here, up here. Trump lauds
Anglo-Saxon, I have to agree with you.
Senator
I have to agree with Anglo. You want to put it up?
What's that?
I have to agree with Anglo.
What here? The only dead?
That one.
Only the dead have seen the end of war, Rick. That's true, yeah. Plato.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. So let's see. New York City's Mondami race riot has to happen. Yeah. Mondami said race riots have to happen. Dear New Yorkers, this is a good one.
Yeah, well, that's as bad as Ibrahim X. Kendi when he said the only solution to past racism is current racism.
Right. There you go. Dear New Yorkers, Texas will break you. Hey, New Yorkers, I heard you're probably going to get an outright communist as your mayor. Zoran Mamdani sounds like a real peach, and the fact that he won the Democrat primary is well on his way to the mayor's office has made many of you fire up your Zillow account and start looking for homes out of state. I don't blame you, but let me offer you some advice. You're probably going to be tempted to come to Texas because so many companies have moved here, and you feel like you could easily land a job. I could see why you'd think that, but let me tell you about Texas. This is great. You really don't want to move here. Texas is like hell, only worse, because the living conditions here are so chaotic and difficult that the devil himself thinks it's a bit much. Let's start with the weather. People joke about how hot it is in Texas, but hot doesn't fully describe what happens here. Texas is not just hot. The air is the essence of heat. And when you walk outside, you have 0.02 seconds before you start sweating, even if you're in the shade. The humidity, he's just telling them this because he doesn't want them there. The humidity is so thick that you don't just walk through the heat, you swim through it. And that's during the fall. You want to know why so much research on the sun is conducted here in Texas? It's because it's a 30-minute commute from here to the ball of fire, baking the landscape so hard that I could cook an entire brisket in the pit and never fire up the grill. I could just close the lid and walk away. And when I come back the next day, I have a perfectly cooked hunk of meat. He's not kidding either. Oh, and don't get me started on our winters, which go between being fall's challenged cousin and the realm of Glaciarch. I think that's it. Lord of the Ice leeches, whatever. For a few days, his icy spell of frost and woe covers Texas, destroying water pipes, making roadways undrivable, and making leftists squawk incessantly about climate change. Spring must be good, though, yeah? No. Once Glaciarch, Lord of the Ice leeches, whatever, and King of the Highway 45 shutdown returns to his slumber, the onslaught of pollen begins. Keep in mind, we're not into spring yet. It's still winter, but the pollen has already begun because Texas is home to a breed of mountain cedar whose solitary purpose is to make you feel like you're going to die. And trust me, you're going to want to give it what it wants. Cedar pollen in Texas is so noxious that it should be banned by the Geneva Convention for being a biological weapon. Then as we move on into spring, the other plants start joining the chorus, including oak and ragweed. Those are two of my enemies. And I hope your life insurance and will are up to date because people get lung infections from all this stuff, and hospitals are filled with the ghosts of people who died from the excessive release of horny trees. Don't think being inside will help you escape it. The pollen clings to your hair and clothes, gets into your couches and carpets. Your pets will store it in their fur, and you will spend the GDP of small European countries on air filters and purifiers trying to make sure Groot doesn't become a squatter in your home. Oh, and let's talk about the wildlife. Have you ever seen a rattlesnake, a water moccasin, or a copperhead? You better hope you see one, because if you don't, you're going to put your foot down in the wrong place and suddenly find yourself in a big two-step in the sky. Ever seen Mad Max? That happens here in Texas, only the raiders are packs of wild boars that will, from time to time, create super packs that storm land and decimate everything in their way, including you. They do. This is a true story. My great-grandmother's land was raided by a super pack, and they had shot so many defending the ranch that they ran out of ammo and were using the butts of their rifles while on top of cars to fend off these pigs like it was the damn Alamo. Luckily, the mosquitoes weren't too bad that day because they're so big they'll carry you off. If there are enough of them around. Do you hear what I'm saying? Our mosquitoes are so big they've got bones. They'll suck so much of your blood out of you. They can legally be considered blood relatives and file as dependents. But don't worry. If they won't get you, our Chihuahua-sized fire ants will. Ever seen an armadillo before? They're cute as a button and carry a literal strain of leprosy. They're adorable little disease grenades that will give you a skin condition only Jesus could cure until relatively recently. Texas spends a lot of time and effort trying to kill you, and it has a longer list of victims than Hillary Clinton, is what I'm saying here. But it's so big, there's plenty of room. Oh, there's not. Texas is split up into 3 zones. This is true. There's the outer wilds where ranchers and farmers live and where a New Yorker wouldn't last for 5 minutes. Then there are suburbs where you will be compacted in with every other person on the planet who's already moved here. And then there are the big cities. Texas's infrastructure can't keep up with the influx. I-35 has been under construction since 1865, and it's still not done. The road goes on forever, and the construction never ends. The end of road construction in Texas is coming soon, indefinitely. Getting from one end of the city to another requires at least 2 changes of clothes and enough food and water to last you a fortnight. The roadways are so cluttered and busy and filled with out-of-state immigrants like yourself that there is no pleasant drive. It's the worst level in Mario Kart. You will start the journey as Clark Griswold, and you will end it as the Joker. Then there's Texas culture. Do you like Texas? Texans do, and we're going to tell you about it all the time. And they do, trust me. It's weird if you don't own a pair of boots. If you don't say howdy to someone once a week, Texas Rangers will show up at your door and haul you off in the middle of the night for failure to Texas. Everyone here has a gun. It's true. Our grandmothers own a gun. The people who have no desire to own a gun own a gun. When a Texan is born, they receive a baby peacemaker that they must learn to operate by the time they can walk, because they have to shoot mosquitoes that swoop down and drag them away. How do we become so obnoxious? Because when you live in a place that is this hostile to human life and survive, you tend to get a little chip on your shoulder and start thinking we're at the top of the American food chain, and the feeling isn't undeserved. Speaking of food, ours should be illegal, not because it's bad, but because it's too good. Brisket isn't a chunk of well-prepared, slow-cooked meat. It's part of a quasi-religion. It really is. When you die and you're invited to the Lord's table, Texans are 99.9% sure our brisket is the centerpiece. We will challenge you to pistols at dawn and if you try to tell us we're wrong about that. Taylor Swift wishes she could have the same lines at her concerts that some of our barbecue joints get on the daily. Some of them are so popular that they cannot operate except for a few days a week because the supply cannot meet the demand. Are you willing to meet God? Because if you eat at Schlo's Barbecue in Belton, you will see him and you're not ready. It will ruin you forever. All other foods will taste like dirt in your mouth after that experience. Nothing will satisfy you. You will rock back and forth in a fetal position in the darkest corner of your home, mumbling about how you saw the third revelation. Do you really want to be the rest of your life? To not find joy in any other foods? That's what will happen to you. It's the call of the siren. Do not answer it. And then there's Tex-Mex, the fusion to end all fusions. We'll hand you a burrito the size of your femur, jam-packed with everything that stirs the dopamine center of your brain, hand you a frozen margarita alongside it, then serve you some beef tacos made from skirt steak so well prepared that we don't need to season it with salt because your tears of joy will suffice. When you finish and can't possibly fit any more in, We'll serve dessert. What's for dessert? Enchiladas. You're not ready. Your colon will file a restraining order against you. Men have gone mad at Uncle Julio's. And don't fill up on chips. Oh, yeah. Well, we have a Wawa. We have a beaver and his restrooms. We have a beaver and his restrooms are so clean and fantastic that heads of state vacation in them. Buc-ee's has a jerky bar and so many fuel pumps that Saudi princes take notes. That's it. All this to say that Texas is not the place for you, New Yorker. You can't handle the extremes here. If the weather and the animals don't get you, the heart disease will. Your experiences here will remake you into something unrecognizable from what you were before. Stay away. You can't handle this. Go to Alaska. You've got a ton of room up there. Editor's note. President Trump is leading America into the golden age as Democrats try to desperately stop it. Help us continue. All right, cool. That was very well done. Who wrote that? I got to see who wrote that.
That was
Brandon
very good.
Morse. That was very good. Yeah. Brandon Morse.
He's right though about
a lot of it.
About snakes and such. The only thing I would put up against that is Australia. You realize Australia.
You're not the top of the food chain there.
Yeah. I mean, Australia is just. I don't even.
I know.
There's not,
Linda. Linda's from Australia.
There's not a word to describe it. You've got in Australia. You've got like 9 of the 10 most deadly snakes, 8 of the 10 most deadly spiders. You've got.
I got a friend who lives in Geelong, and she told me. She said, "Yeah, I was in the shower this morning. One of those." She named it. It was a red spider, and I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, it's so small. Sometimes you can't even see them." And she goes, "But if he bites you and gets into your blood," she said, "you're dead before you hit the floor." And I go, "So what did you do?" And she goes, "Oh, I just squished him with my thumb." And I'm like, "Why would you do that?" She goes, "Well, because they can't really bite your skin. They're so small, they'll never get into it." She goes, "But I do have a girlfriend that one morning she woke up and she felt like a hair blowing across her face. So she just went like this." She said it was one of those red spiders and she smashed it while she was moving. It went into her eye and she went blind immediately and had to go to the hospital. I'm like, "You're lying." She goes, "I'm not." And she showed me a picture of her girlfriend and she had a patch over her eye. So it's not that bad in the South. Yeah, see, she's from Australia, so she'll tell you.
Yeah, one of the only good thing about most spiders, there's different types of spiders. The worst ones for humans to get a bite is brown recluse, because
the
that's
recluse,
a type of spider.
They're in every state too.
That's because that's a type of spider. It does local necrosis. If you deal with spiders that either have hemotoxins or neurotoxins, they're usually too small to kill you because their poison is typically designed to kill mice and such.
Yeah.
So they're typically too small to kill you, but they can kill a baby. And the nice thing about it is if you recover fully. So hopefully this lady got her eye back.
I don't know if she got her eye back. She was blind. Let me see. It's the redback spider, Lactrodectus hasselti. Okay. It says is a small venomous spider. I'll bring it up. Let me bring it up. There it is. That's the little bastard right there. But she said it was really tiny though. Is a small venomous spider found in Australia, known for its distinctive red stripe or hourglass marking. That might not be it. Let's go to here. Let's take a look at this. Oh, look at that.
That's a black widow.
Yeah, she said it was oh, that's the redback. That's the redback spider.
Yeah, the line is not an hourglass shape, so it's not. Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah,
Australian spiders are less dangerous than bees. What? Let's see. The most dangerous, Sydney funnel web. Guess where they're from? Other funnel webs. All right.
Yeah, spiders. I don't know. I'm not an entomologist, but spiders typically will only be able to kill like a mouse or something that they would go after.
Yeah, look at that. And you know, they say that you are never more than 5 feet from a spider in your house.
Yeah, that's a trapdoor spider.
Yeah,
They
they're
will
in. I know.
jump out and
They go surprise, and you're dead. Yeah, white-tailed spiders. Okay, I don't see a
yeah,
tail,
if you're a
but it is
mouse,
white.
if you're a mouse and you go near that trapdoor spider, they think that's
Look at
just
that.
juicy.
Yeah.
And you know the Goliath
Recluse, there's the
spider,
recluse.
the Goliath spider,
Yeah.
their legs can extend. They extend to like the size of a dinner plate.
Can you imagine waking up and this little MFer is like dangling over your head and you're like, ah! Can you imagine? And then you see him go himself and he flies away.
Most of those big ones don't hang
like
from
Predator.
webs, though. Most
don't
of the
what?
like the big tarantulas, they don't
Yeah, I know.
hang down like that.
Yeah. There's a garden weave spider. You know, they're saying, where did I hear this recently too? They said spider silk, right? That if you took spider silk and you got enough of it, the width, the thickness of a number 2 pencil, that it could hold up a 747 plane.
Yeah,
that's what they're saying, and I'm like, that's impossible. But they're swearing by it. They're like, no, it will.
I don't know about that, but I can tell you that spider silk, weight per weight, is stronger than spun steel.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're saying that you can hold it. It has to be the width of a number 2 pencil, the whole thing, and it can literally hold up a 747. The weight of it. I'm like that's kind of. I mean,
that sounds a little hyperbolic, but the point is there.
Female wasp, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Is that okay? You have to tell us, Sheila. What do you mean by wasp? I have to know. Hey, what's up, Special K? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, because we think of wasp as white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Yeah. Republican. All right. Let me see. Would not balance. 747. Yeah, I know. But that's what they were saying. It could hold, I guess they meant for the weight so that they tell you 747 so you know the weight. Yeah, the brown recruits are wicked. It goes all the way down to your bone.
Yeah, it can necrose. It's bad.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Yeah, it's the wasp. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Australia lives only to kill you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Commander always says it's that fantasy land that doesn't exist, Australia. Let me see. Had a friend who was bit a fiddleback. The spot kept growing. The doctor finally treated her with shock therapy with a taser. Really?
What?
Fiddleback.
Yeah, that's a type of spider, all right. But
yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Anyway,
yikes. All right, let's do the next one. Let me go in here and do this. Let's see. Trump trade deal is great for America and the UK. We're going to do that. So Trump trade deal is giving UK patients new hope of accessing wonder drugs. Something President Donald Trump's critics never seem to understand is that he understands negotiation. He wrote The Art of the Deal, for God's sake. He has spent the last 40 years negotiating deals both small and big. He likes to come out swinging, assess how his opponent reacts, and then adjust his plan so that he gets the most of what he wants. And the number one thing that you learn when you read his book is you must be willing to walk away at a moment's notice.
Yes.
You can walk away, you'll win 99% of your thing. This is why most of us who have followed the president for so long and read the Scott Adams book, Win Bigly, he never said bigly. Do you know that? He said big league, League, big league. He never said bigly.
Who's that, Trump?
Yeah, which you should too, if you haven't already. Didn't throw a tantrum over his tariffs. We all knew that the tariffs were a tactic and not an end goal. Absolutely. They were a tactic. He wanted free trade. So if he did reciprocal trade and they didn't want to pay that amount, then they would lower their tariffs. Yet there was another instance of President Trump demonstrating that he truly understands the art of the deal. Right. This is how the president reached the recently announced historic deal with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. to reduce or eliminate most non-tariff barriers between our two countries. At the time, the focus was mainly on agricultural benefits, with estimates of at least $5 billion in ag trading, with the president saying the deal is dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. Critics of both sides of the Atlantic have tried to tear down the deal, insisting that its healthcare provisions could patients could lose access to life-saving drugs. That made no sense English-wise. However, as we've had to time to get more into the details of the deal, just reading it as it's written, it appears that the even bigger win will be for UK pharmaceutical companies and their patients. Indeed, NHS patients have been given new hope of accessing wonder drugs previously blocked in Britain, as Donald Trump pressures the health service to spend more with U.S. suppliers, as the Telegraph recently reported. As part of the deal, the Trump administration insisted that the UK needed to be more welcoming of imports from U.S. pharmaceutical companies, which are all in Ireland right now. Under this new trade agreement, the UK government agreed to review the rules that dictate which drugs can be bought by the National Health Service, Great Britain's Department for Socialized Medicine, and those imports can't come soon enough. The NHS isn't just broken, it's broke, with British patients forced to ration their own pharmaceuticals because the government can't afford to provide them with enough. And despite the fact that the UK government spends more on just disability than it does on national defense, their cancer survival rates are among the worst in the world. And while acolytes of socialized medicine cluck their tongues at the American healthcare system, the waiting lines in Britain are so long, they're killing people, almost like Canada. As The Hill reported, 8 million people in the United Kingdom are waiting for their care, with 40% waiting for more than 18 weeks. An incredible 14,000 people died just last year while waiting for care in England's emergency rooms. Let me tell you something, guys. My mother and father went to England. England, Ireland, Scotland. They did the whole gambit, right? And when they were in London, and my mother fell and broke her wrist, and so she had to go to the hospital, right? And so they're looking at her and all this, and she said, I'm going to pay. I have insurance, and they're like, looked at her like, what? And she goes, yeah, I have my own insurance. They're like, you don't have to pay. And she's like, I'm not even a citizen. What do you mean I don't have to pay? And my mother fought with them, and they're like, she goes, I'll give you cash then. And they literally said to her, we don't know how to take cash for payment here because we just don't do that. But I thought that England, school me, guys, please. I thought England had your socialized medicine, but you still had private health care if you had the money. So I don't know how that is anymore, but my mom told me that. Yeah. Our free health care could save your life, but you could die until you die. Yeah.
Q. I think she means Q-U-E-U-E.
Right. Q
up
until you die. Yeah. 42's a guy. You should come if you have time tomorrow. Come to his show. I'll be on it tomorrow. He was kind enough to invite me back. Cost us billions, Rich. Yeah, I'll bet, man. I'll bet. Yeah. All right. Next one.
I want to hear about the daddy comment.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That was great. Did you see those obsequious Eurotrash fawning over our president?
Yeah, the White House has taken full advantage of that daddy comment. I can't believe this is a real ad. This is from Not the Bee. Remember when we told you that the NATO Secretary General calling Trump daddy the other day? There you go. The media asked Trump about the NATO Secretary calling him daddy. His response was 100% Trump. This really happened. So let's see if we have something here.
Oh, yeah. And the best part about this is Marco Rubio.
Yeah, but I don't think
the best part about the video.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best part of the
Yeah. I'm listening.
The best part of the video that I saw was Marco Rubio was behind, and Marco Rubio is laughing so hard he looks like he's going to pee himself.
Yeah. Here we go. Come on, open up.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes do strong language.
People are saying J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio ticket. Here's a better option. J.D. Vance runs the presidency, and then he does that for 8 years, and then Marco Rubio steps up to the plate and says, you know, everybody rested a little easier for the last 12 years when I was Secretary of State.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
sure, that'll work for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as I was talking to somebody about this today, and he would be probably, arguably, he would be better off remaining Secretary of State. He can set up, the world was a better place when I was Secretary of State for 12 years.
Louis, speaking about, hey, what's up, Bex? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. You said, wonder if Melania calls him daddy. Well, we have a story here. It's not fun, but Jasmine Crockett, the loudmouth, she's actually attacking Melania Trump's legal visa status. She's an actual citizen, but let's not let that. All right, during a House Judiciary Committee hearing on Wednesday, scumbag Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett raised questions about First Lady Melania Trump's immigration history, specifically her acquisition of an EB-1 visa, also known as the Einstein visa. The visa is reserved for individuals with extraordinary ability in their respective fields and is typically awarded to those with internationally recognized achievements. Crockett used her remarks to criticize Republican members of the committee, accusing them of hypocrisy on immigration and claiming they lacked integrity when it comes to the president's family. So in other words, because Republicans who are on that committee, who probably know nothing about Melania and her history of coming here, she's saying that they are hypocrites. That's because she's a loudmouth. You don't want to know the words I want to use for her, but she's a loudmouth. It's why. So
Jasmine Crockett.
So yeah, it says the first lady, quote, the first lady, a model. And when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level. Applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. She was a supermodel. Let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, which Donald Trump was just nominated for, or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of these. So is this where he's going to rip her? Yeah, let me see. I think he rips her. Let's do it. Come on.
My Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model. And when I say model,
Now, what did Melania ever do to this bitch? What?
Well, it doesn't matter.
I know, but Melania never did a thing to any one of these people.
It
And they pick on her all the time, and she takes it in stride. You know?
Yeah,
But
and they say Trump doesn't like strong women around him.
right.
not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here. Nevertheless, what Republicans are doing
Congresswoman who said ain't.
with this reconciliation process, the travel bans and revoking visas jeopardizes our national security. It threatens our communities, our higher education, and our economy. Visas like the largely vetted J visas for higher education and M visas for trade, training, attract the next innovators, medical providers, researchers, and educators that we need to build on American success.
See, and then she'll go on The Breakfast Club or any other show that'll have her, and she'll complain that Donald Trump is targeting her, even though he's never said a word about her. He's targeting her, and it's so hard because she doesn't have security. She'd have to put her own money out for that. But she goes and does something like this and wonders why people don't like her.
Well,
So-
you know what Trump said about her and AOC.
Yeah.
You must have heard that. He put that thing out and he says, he said AOC is so dumb. She's like she's so stupid. She's the stupidest person in Congress. And
Right.
the only good thing is that she's probably more qualified than Jasmine Crockett.
Right. Here you go. Melania Trump was born in Slovenia in 1970, came to the United States on an EB-1 visa in 2001. She met Donald Trump in 1998 at a party in New York City and later became a naturalized citizen in July 2006. She is only the second foreign-born first lady in U.S. history. Alex Naurasta, vice president for economic and social policy studies at the Cato Institute, testified during the hearing and defended Melania Trump's immigration status. Quote, not everybody could marry Donald Trump, and I think that's quite an achievement. So I think she deserves credit for that. That's pretty funny. His remark prompted laughter in the hearing room. Crockett responded, you sure are right. I couldn't have done it. Oh, God. Crockett used the hearing to also criticize the Trump administration's immigration enforcement policies. Right, because they want all the illegals that they can get. Integrity isn't snatching lawful visa holders off. This is one she said that I had a problem with. Integrity isn't snatching lawful visa holders off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans. No, when you're a visa holder and you stayed beyond its expiration, you're no longer lawful. So ICE is allowed to snag you up and throw you into a van. Now, should they put ICE on their vans? Why? So that all the illegals and their pals, the liberal left progressives and Antifa and all that come out of the woodwork and start attacking them? Are you kidding me? This woman's not serious. She's not a serious person. She also raised questions about the broader impact of temporary visa holders on the economy, asking about individuals on J&N visas. I don't even want to get into this because I'm so sick of her. I just wanted you guys to see what kind of a scumbag she is to attack a woman that's never said a negative word about anybody. Yeah, daddy's home.
Yeah,
when I see Commander, that's funny.
You know that the police were headed to arrest this guy. I think he was an alien. I think he was an illegal alien, but they were here to arrest him. This is in Boulder. They went in to arrest him,
right,
on these charges,
right?
And their little ICE warning system kicked
right.
in,
Yeah,
and they let him know, and he got away. I don't know that they've even caught him yet.
well, they should be arrested. The people that let him get away.
Well, this is Colorado, Rich. This is, this is de rigueur.
It's crazy. Colorado is in competition to be the nuttiest progressive state with California.
Yeah, they're trying.
I know they're trying real hard too. Let's see. Democrat of the theater. Let me increase that a little bit. Glenn Beck warned the rapid spread of Islam across Western society. Yeah, the Zoran Mandami revolution, which is something we got to worry about across the country. They're going to do this in a lot of cities. They're going to do what that guy did. Trump deal, Democrat theater, kids, empty house. Yeah, Kurt Schlichter. So every week now, I have to have a Kurt Schlichter because I like the guy a lot. Here you go. The Democrat theater kids are playing to an empty house. The Democrats have stopped bothering to conduct politics. They prefer to engage in max cringe performance art, and it's unclear who their audience is. Maybe it's each other, since this festival of onanism is designed for them to shamefully pleasure themselves while accomplishing nothing. It sure can't be for the benefit of normal people. For one thing, normal people aren't on X looking at senators' social media feeds. For another thing, normal people have better things to do than listen to the tantrums of tedious government functionaries shilling for the dismal side of those proverbial 80-20 issues. It's hard to get people upset about deportations when people dig deportations, and the more deportee, the better. Yet, they're out there anyway, whining on videos, whining on TV shows, whining in congressional committees, whining, always whining. But who's listening? This reminds me of those perennially unemployed actors who rent out a 99-seat non-equity theater for their one-man show, then invite all their friends to come. They can guilt them to come watch them talk on stage for 90 minutes about how their daddy didn't love them. You're not going because you want to. You're going because it's a painful duty. And what a painful duty it is to watch these Democrats caper and cavort in their own individual productions of Donald Trump Lives Inside My Head. They all seem to have the same producer and director. It's always the same style and the same message. Some hack Democrat consultant is getting rich, perhaps the same one who made $20 million convincing the party to send Jabba the Lib out to win over young people. Some staffer with an iPhone videos the Dem poll as he, she, Z stands there holding one of their little lapel mics in her Zir hand, like some TikTok influencer sounding off with exactly the same stupid sound bites as every other donkey backbencher. There's a daily script with the same message, and it's a stupid message, like that Donald Trump is ripping innocent immigrant families apart because of his inherent meanness. Well, some families should be ripped apart. And if you're one of the McCullen mansions, I guess that's it, like the Father of the Year Maryland man who dabbled in murder, human trafficking, wife beating, and dirty pictures of little kids. I didn't even know that last one. Wow.
I haven't heard that. I don't know that specifically is
well,
true.
he wouldn't, trust me, he wouldn't say it if it weren't true. You need to get the hell out of our country. Dropping guys like that off in the third world hellhole of origin instead of dropping them out of an open door of a helicopter is the moderate solution. Yeah, the other cliche du jour is a video clip of the poll bleeding in fussy outrage over a failed visit to one of the ICE houses. These dumpy losers show up at some detention center and demand entrance, and the ICE agents, who are almost all working class minority guys, basically tell them to go pound sand. At that point, the Democrat stares into the camera and cries about how they're just trying to do oversight and how this is the worst thing literal Hitler has done since the last thing literal Hitler did. They think this is a power move, but all it does is demonstrate a level of impotence unseen since the last Bulwark staffer's wedding night. That's funny. And then there are videos where some pinko politician decides to either charge at a government official while screaming like a lunatic, probably not a great idea in light of recent events, or get in a tussle with ICE agents as they attempt to haul away some third world intruder scumbag. And it's always some obscure politician trying to make a name for himself when alleged Senator Alex Padilla, or is it Jose? I love JD for that, charged Kristi Noem. Most people's response was, who? Of course, literal Hitler is literally Hitler for protecting government officials and arresting people who interfere with cops. Cue conservatives to head to X to dig up tweet after tweet of the offending Democrat and his reflexive defenders solemnly reciting that no one is above the law. And there's my own governor, Gavin Hairstyle, who seems to be spending all his time on Twitter twitting pointlessly about Donald Trump, who, for his part, keeps racking up win after win. Just the other day, the Ninth Circuit disrespected Newsom in his ridiculous legal arguments about who controls the California Army National Guard so completely and decisively that it made Dresden in 1945 look like Disneyland, except with fewer dumpy incel adult losers trying to relive their miserable childhoods. Can't read. So what did Gavin do? He put out a tweet claiming victory. His defeat was so comprehensive that he would have had to do vastly better to achieve even a Pyrrhic victory, which is the worst kind of victory to have. Then you get all these Democrats sounding off about the big, beautiful bill and how it's going to help out the billionaires. They always say the billionaires. I don't know many billionaires who bring me patty melts at the diner and are somehow going to cash in on my tax-free tips. This is so transparently stupid that you wonder who it's meant to convince. It's not just that the Dems are spinning. It's not just that they're trying to advocate for their point of view. It's that they're outright lying. They're saying things that are demonstrably untrue, and it's not even arguable while expecting people not to notice. But of course, people do notice. And even the dumbest Democrats, even Mazie Hirono or Ted Lieu, they are stupid Democrats, must at some level understand that if you keep saying things that are obviously false to people, people are going to stop listening to you. Still, having normal people listen to them doesn't appear to be the point. These little performances appear to be directed at each other, with each of them competing to be the loudest, shrillest, and stupidest voice in the debate. We're not the audience. Their comrades are. But that's okay. We're not interested anyway. In fact, if given a choice, we would sooner go to see Amy Schumer and Lena Dunham reboot of Wild Things. No, not me. Not me. No, not that's taken a little too far.
Yeah, I mean, here's the question. What do you think would happen if you tried to stop a prison bus transferring prisoners from one prison to another? What would happen?
Well, you'd get arrested, you'd get run over. There's a lot of things.
You might get run over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you might get arrested. You probably get arrested. If you didn't get shot or run over, you'd get arrested. So they think, okay, but it's okay to stop an ice bus.
Right. Well, they're morons.
Here's the thing. You know, apparently we've got an agreement with Somalia and with South Sudan.
Right.
How about we transport them halfway to South Sudan?
Yeah.
Does anybody know what that means?
No. No.
What if you draw a line on a map between here and South Sudan? What's halfway?
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, all right. I had no idea. I didn't know where you were going. Sorry.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
All right. Now I know. Now, if anybody asks, I'll say, yeah, Jade told me.
I don't know that I'd ever make a good living as a stand-up comic.
Here you go. You guys want to see the footage of the bunker bomb?
Sure. Let's see it.
Here we go.
I'm about to show you is a culmination of over 15 years of development and testing. As I said, hundreds of test shots on various models. This is one weapon. So if you take a view of this as 5 additionals, you'll get a sense of what this looks like. Hopefully you can see it and there's not too much reflection. Tom runs our videos out there. We'll run it at full speed so you can see it and then go back through it. Go ahead.
Here you go. Watch. That's the bomb. It went down. But watch. Down below. It goes down. It waits till it hears an open room, and then it explodes. True. Watch this. Look at that. 30,000 pounds through concrete. Watch the flaps. They fold in. I love it.
And then the trick about it is the first one goes in, and then
keep it going.
The
for a
next
minute.
one
You'll
goes
see
in the same hole.
Inside the mission space.
Look at this. You see it come down. I know it does. It goes. There were 3 holes. It goes down. Then it listens for a hollow. It sends a ping out, and then explodes.
Unlike a normal surface bomb, you won't see an impact crater because they're designed to deeply bury and then function. I know there's been a lot of questions about that. All 6 weapons at each vent at Fordo went exactly where they were intended to go.
Imagine that.
Not only in the site, but in the vent. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
They went in.
Yeah, there were two planes.
What they did,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what they did is they sent the bomb in and they blew out the big concrete bunker above the ventilation shaft.
Right. And then they shot the main one in.
And
it's like, wow.
I mean, these things went within centimeters of the aim point.
Can you imagine, like, no pressure to the pilots? Because the first pilot, if he screwed up, the entire mission was gone.
Yeah.
Right. So the first pilot does his job, and the guy's actually watching or listening to it. Right. And he's coming in to drop the bunker buster. Right. And if that first guy didn't do it, and then he makes it, right, blows the thing to hell, creates that hole, and he has to drop his perfectly down there. But it was all the electronics that did it, but it went off without a hitch. You gotta love it, man. You just gotta love it.
I mean, within centimeters, within like an inch of where they wanted them to go.
I got a Rosie story. Yeah, you're right. Within an inch.
Yeah,
See, I got a
and
Rosie
so
story.
not only do they penetrate layers of rock, dirt, and cement, but they had a pre-planned path right through it down the ventilation shaft, so they had even less resistance.
And there was a navigator too.
The first one goes down, blows a hole, blows up like 200 feet down. The second one follows it.
2 planes.
Goes deeper. There was a total of 7 planes.
Yeah, well, I'm saying 2 planes per bombing. So it wasn't that there was a pilot and a co-pilot. I think the B-2s, they have 3. The pilot, co-pilot, and the navigator who also drops, the bombardier. Isn't that how they do it?
I think it's just a spare pilot. I don't think anybody.
Is that what it is? They didn't have the navigator. So
nobody
who's
carries a navigator anymore.
Oh, all right. I thought they had it was all electronics. He wasn't like looking. It was all done on a screen.
It's all done. Nobody has a navigator anymore.
Yeah,
but
the
whole mission was like 36 hours nonstop.
Oh, I know. They had to refuel in flight. Yeah.
And I guess there was a total of 20. I don't know if it was 20 tankers that they were referring to. 20 tankers worth of fuel.
Yeah.
But a total of 36 hours. So, they had to be constantly trading off.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you get, within a certain point of your target, everybody's up and watching.
Yeah, exactly. Commander, I saw a photo. It was a meme, and it said, 20 years ago, would you have ever believed that Roseanne Barr looks better than Madonna? Because Madonna really screwed herself up with the plastic surgery and all that. And Roseanne dropped a ton of weight. Yeah, she did. She looks horrific. Well, let me do this Rosie O'Donnell story. This is like, the happy story of the week for me anyway. Okay. Rosie O'Donnell admits she was overeating and over drinking after first Trump win. Very depressed. Left-wing actress Rosie O'Donnell revealed this week that she left the United States for Ireland out of self-preservation after Donald Trump's elections. Because she's a freaking lunatic. O'Donnell claims she became deeply depressed after his 2016 victory. The former Hollywood liberal claims Trump is to blame for her overeating and overdrinking. Yeah, because Trump is the one who grabbed her arm and stuck that fork in her mouth, right? And stuck the bottle of it. He force-fed her and forced her to drink alcohol. All right. O'Donnell made the comments during a Tuesday appearance on the Chris Cuomo Project podcast. She told the former CNN anchor that Trump's rise left her emotionally unraveling and unable to cope. Now, what kind of a loser do you have to be to say that guy? I mean, when Biden won, which is very sketchy, and when Obama won, I mean, I didn't want to move to Ireland. Okay, I was like, well, it's going to be a shitty 4 or 8 years, but we'll get through it. America's stronger than these clowns. But these people, I mean, think about it. I just couldn't deal with it. I mean, oh my God. She told former CNN anchor that Trump's rise left her emotional and unraveling. Quote, during his first go around, it was very difficult. And I got myself into some bad places, O'Donnell said. I was very, very depressed. I was overeating. I was over drinking. I was so depressed, Chris. I can hear that now. She added that she left for Ireland after Trump's 2024 election win. O'Donnell claimed that Trump would enforce policies she believes would. Bobbity sent me something. Let me see. This Jewish man in the world. O'Donnell claimed that Trump would enforce policies she believes would cut services for special needs children. Of course, and he didn't. Coming to Ireland was totally a way to take care of myself and my non-binary autistic child. Who's going to need services and help and counseling and all the things that Trump is threatening to cut in his horrible plan of the big, beautiful bill? O'Donnell also vented her anger that Americans believe the lies of Trump. She said it would. Oh, we got to watch this.
During his first go round, it was very difficult, and I got myself into some bad places. You know, I was very, very depressed. I was overeating. I was over drinking. I was,
acting.
I was so depressed, Chris. I can't, it hurt my heart that America believed the lies about him. And then it broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit.
Broke her heart.
It was very heavy, to tell you the truth.
Good Lord. She was depressed. Ha! Was that Trump did this in 87? Did what? He moved to Ireland? European species.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
Some people have never heard the word responsibility.
Yeah, I know.
Personal responsibility. The two words, personal responsibility. Never heard them together.
Gavin Newsom sipped Cabernet while Los Angeles burned. That's one.
Yeah, well, like that's news. That's just what we expect out of him.
Yeah, it is what we expect. But then there's another one. I'm just reading the headlines now because I'm probably not going to read them. We got to do the AOC thing though. But let me see.
We got to have an AOC fix.
Yeah, we got to have that AOC thing. And we're going to do another one. Tucker Carlson dropped a bombshell about his final days at Fox. Well, let's do the AOC thing first. Let me see. We got to pull it up. She's just a dope. AOC exposed after claiming she's a Bronx girl. Remember she did that to Trump? Because he said Queens and she said, hey, he's a Bronx girl, right? Remember that? It was when he said she is the stupidest person because she was saying he should be impeached because of the Iran bombing, right? He ended a potential nuclear war. And okay. So he said a second one that said she's a stupid Queens girl and all that. And she says, I'm from the Bronx, and she got all smart ass with him. Well, let's watch the video. Where is the video? Is this the video? I think Michael Knowles did this video. Here we go. Watch this. There's not a video. It's a site, though. Watch. He writes, the town in blue, okay, is the suburb I grew up in. The town in red is the richer, whiter suburb AOC grew up in. The area in the black circle way down at the bottom is the Bronx. So that's the Bronx, right? And what's up here? It's part of Queens. So she's a liar, or she's just too stupid. She doesn't know. She said, I'm a Bronx girl. You know that we can eat Queens boys for breakfast, respectfully. Right? I mean, oh my God, this guy, CJ Pearson, I like him. I like him a lot. He's got some really cool stuff. Some cool posts that he makes. But I mean, AOC is just a moron's moron. And she loses every single time she runs her mouth. Yeah, I say she could eat corn on the cob through a picket fence. Yeah, she got that jackass thing. So let me see. What was the other one? Connell's Iran reporting was a week long. I forget what the other one was.
You wanted to do something about the Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker tells. Where is it? Tucker dropped a bombshell. Let's see if the video.
2/3 of the way down.
Yeah, I got it. I got to see if the video though. There should be a video to this. Let me see. All right, hold on. Here we go. All right, it's only 52 seconds, but let's get it in there. I just don't feel like reading it, be honest with you. All right, here we go.
The Murdochs really hate Trump. Yeah. There's no one who hates Trump more than the Murdochs. I got fired in April of 2023. In May of 2023, they asked me to run for president against Trump and said they would back me. Obviously, I'm not running for any, I would never get elected anyway. Plus, I like Trump. I mean, that's the funny thing is I actually genuinely, I get frustrated. I'm frustrated now.
So hold on. I'm sorry.
Trump.
You just said that and they asked you to run for president against Trump, the Murdochs.
Yeah. Lachlan Murdoch said you should run for president. We'll back you. The whole thing, the whole
Fox News apparatus,
and not just Fox, but Wall Street Journal,
all of their papers,
Times
everything.
London. Absolutely, yeah, we'll back you.
And that came right from.
You should do that. I was already gone. They'd already canceled my show. I was still under contract, but they canceled my show. You should run. We support you. You should run.
We want to stop Trump.
Yeah. Well, he was running.
It's crazy, right?
Shows you how much they hate Trump.
Yeah, really does, doesn't it? Let's see what else.
When that is the only thing you can see, it's like tattooed on their retina.
Oh yeah. But you think that the Murdochs owned Fox, right? So why would they hate Trump if most of their people that watch their news network like Trump?
You're trying to come up with logic for
I know. That's my
people.
first mistake. I know.
Logic for illogical people.
Too
I
extreme.
mean, you would go to somebody that you fired and hey, no hard feelings, old chap.
Right. Let me see what else we got in Savior Socialist.
What else?
I'm trying to think. Dem leaders Schumer and Jeffries. They embrace New York City Socialist Democrat Zoran Mamdani.
What about this censorship thing?
Let me see.
That could be interesting.
The online censorship? Yeah.
Yeah. Two down
Yeah, I
from
got
the
it.
Tucker story.
Yeah, I'm there. I just got to move it up. Takes a second. So here we go. Remember the left's online censorship cartel? It just took its deadliest beatdown yet. For almost 10 years, right-wing media has been under a censorship siege. I can tell you that. It wasn't just big tech shadow banning your favorite accounts or Dems screeching about so-called misinformation like squawking Marxists. There was a very quiet, coordinated effort happening behind the scenes, one that used money and fear to shut down conservative voices where it hurt the most. Ad revenue. Exactly. I remember that. And you know what else they got? They got GoFundMe to no longer allow conservatives like influencers and whatnot, or politicians. Stripe and PayPal did the same thing. Yeah, that's why Bongino created paralleleconomy.com. Now, finally, that anti-American left-wing censorship racket is crumbling thanks to President Trump's FTC. Look, see, Trump is fixing everything a little bit at a time, right? Like he's really he knows he's zooming in on this. Like, what is the problem? Let's fix that. Looking back, those were dark days in American history. Everyone was getting in on the censorship game, all in the name of so-called American values. Watch, this guy has to learn how to put a tweet up on his article. Elon, when he bought it, screwed it up. Let's see. Yeah. What do you think that means?
What?
Well, there's the deplatforming of conservatives. That's one of their values. They're big on AI generated content now. That's another value they've got. They like to be able to take your data and use it however they want. Remember, that's one of their new values. And of course, my all-time favorite, the feminist, decolonial, LGBTQIA plus climate justice using artificial intelligence. That apparently is another one of their values. Well, they're going to take all those values and they're going to bundle it into a paid email scheduling and artificial intelligence service, which somehow will save their company or something. Now, those of you who follow Mozilla, you know they have two base products, right? They've got Firefox, their web browser. They've been pinning all their hopes on Firefox for years. They've been trying to use that to generate as many sources of revenue as they can, spying on people, AI, advertising, whatever. And they also have the email client, Thunderbird. And Thunderbird isn't as big of a name as Firefox, but it has a pretty hefty and dedicated user base. I used to use Thunderbird. It's a good email client in a general rule of thumb. And so now Mozilla really wants to find a way to monetize that email client. This announcement from March 28th, about 4 or 5 days ago, quote, this is from the head of
well, the point, we don't have to watch the rest. The point is that the lefties are now trying to monetize censorship, is what they're doing. They're trying to monetize censorship because they think that they'll get away with it. Because as long as the government isn't doing it, they can censor, and that's what they learned. So in other words, when all the platforms were censoring, because MailChimp did it as well, they did it to the Babylon Bee, and so when they learned that they got in trouble, because even when the Biden government forced them to do it, well, that's when they sat around and went, well, wait a minute. We can do it ourselves without the government. Yeah, let's do that. And that's
but it's in line with their values, Rich.
Yeah, it's in line with their values, and we just have unacceptable ideas, right? Yeah. Let's see. Trump denies.
But how about I want to see this thing about Canada. Where is it? Second from the bottom here. Kristi Noem reveals Trudeau's dark plan.
Hold on. Yeah, Trudeau's dark plan. Yeah, that's a good one. I saw that and thought of Commander, honestly. Let's see. So here we go. Kristi Noem reveals Trudeau's dark plan to destroy America and why Trump is so angry. Every time a new piece of this border mess drops, it makes more sense why Trump and the entire America First crowd are so frustrated and disgusted. This time, it's Canada in the hot seat, thanks to Kristi Noem pulling back the curtain on what Justin Trudeau was really doing behind closed doors. Spoiler alert, it wasn't keeping Canadians safe, and it definitely wasn't helping his next-door neighbor. A new clip that's blowing up online, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem reveals how Trudeau stonewalled the U.S. on critical security issues. He refused to share criminal background info, blocked access to databases that could identify traffickers, and dragged his feet on taking back Canada's own illegal citizens, clogging up America's immigration system. In other words, he wasn't so neighborly. But what he was doing was helping his fellow globalist, Joe Biden. Because while Dems were busy throwing open the southern border, Trudeau was quietly helping with the invasion at the northern border, too. I had talked about this. Cocaine, fentanyl, traffickers, criminals, you name it. Trudeau made it all easier thanks to sitting on his hands while America imploded. You know why? Because he's a freaking communist, and he wanted to help out fellow communists in the American government. That's why. But that was the beginning of the end for Justin. His ties to progressive globalism and the reboot of the West is part of the reason he's no longer a leader today. We saw Justin's demise coming a year ago when the Canadian courts got one right, ruling that Trudeau's crushing of the Freedom Truckers was illegal. And, you know, the media never told us that, did they? They never told us. It was definitely the beginning of the end. A year later, Justin was gone. Watch. This is on Patrick Bet David. Let's get it over to here.
I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Oh, shit. What happened? I think I ruined it. Sorry.
I didn't do it.
They shouldn't give me the button.
Kids, about the decision that I'm sharing with you today.
No, it started over. I knew it was done. It started over, but
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, I think that was it. Let me see. All right, we got to go back. Sorry, guys. I'm really screwing this up. I am not a professional, but Justin's obsession with crushing freedom knew no limits. Thanks to Christie, we now get a peek behind the globalist curtain, and what we see is Trudeau, the poster boy for the Davos crowd, playing his woke persona for the cameras. But the real truth is that Justin was actually protecting drug runners and sex traffickers. What a guy. Secretary of U.S. Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem exposes Justin Trudeau's liberal incompetence. Wow. Quote, the former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is a train wreck. He was hard to work with. I tried to work with him previously in trying to build relationships with Canada so we knew who was crossing our border, asking them to take back their citizens who were illegal, wasn't willing to share criminal background information on individuals with us, wasn't willing to allow us access to some of their data systems that would tell us who was trafficking a lot of drugs, the cocaine, the fentanyl. So Canada gave the U.S. the middle finger and wasn't cooperating with protecting the safety of both countries and citizens, and instead sure looked like protected criminals. This is a huge insight. The more info comes out, the more it makes how Canada became such a fruitful ground for drug operations and why Donald Trump is upset. Here we go. This is now we're going to hear her take on it.
Former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, was a train wreck. He was a train wreck and he was hard to work with for. I worked with him previously and in trying to build relationships with Canada so that we knew who was crossing our border, asking them to protect their citizens that were illegal here in this country. He was very hard to work with. He talked to President Trump about setting up a fentanyl czar so we could deal with the drug issue, but wasn't willing to share criminal background information on individuals with us, wasn't willing to allow us access to some of their data systems that would tell us really who was trafficking a lot of the drugs, the cocaine, the fentanyl that was killing our children.
Yeah. Yeah, in other words, he's a piece of crap.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he was doing exactly what he wanted to do. He was spreading communism throughout the world.
Yep.
Socialism.
At the PTA meetings, I'm sure she is.
Yeah, socialists are just communists who haven't picked up an AK-47 yet.
Right. Yeah, I always say that the difference is the Marxists are all talk and the communists have a gun. That's the big difference between the two of them. So let's see. Trump's former, Trump. I'll just give you the headline. Trump denies 9 former Biden aides executive privilege. That tells me that there's charges coming.
Yeah, you know what you need for that? You know The Simpsons, where there's that meme from The Simpsons that one young kid goes, ha ha.
Yeah, Nelson. Ha ha. Yeah,
you need that.
Yeah, we need that. That's right.
You need that.
Tom Homan. Let's see what he has to say. Here we go. We're going to do a Tom Homan one.
Tom Homan, I love that man.
Yeah, love him too. All right, so the headline, game on. Tom Homan has a pointed message for Zoran Mondami over vow Trump-proof New York City if elected. Yeah. New York Assemblyman Zoran Mondami's apparent victory in New York City's Democrat mayoral primary has sparked a national conversation surrounding what it would mean for the future of the Big Apple and the Democratic Party, where the Democrat Socialist Party member to get elected in November. Among other things he's pledged to do if elected, are rent freezes, city-owned grocery stores, raising the minimum wage to $30 an hour by 2030, and Trump-proofing New York City. We're going to do everything we can to stop the fascists. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, asshole. You would be a mayor, nothing but a mayor of a city. How are you going to stop a federal system? You're not. He'll ensure our immigrant New Yorkers are protected by strengthening our sanctuary city apparatus, getting ICE out of all city facilities. He can't. And ending any cooperation, increasing legal support, and protecting all personal data. I love how these guys run their mouths to get elected. And then they come up with some bullshit story of why they can't really do it once they are. So anyway.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of jurisdiction? Do you know what jurisdiction federal officers have?
Yeah, exactly.
And you know who's the only one that can challenge that? Is the sheriff of a county.
Yeah, sheriff, because he's the top law enforcement.
He's the top elected
he's the top law enforcement person in his
in
county.
that county.
Yeah,
and
he has more
actually
power under the law than the president of the United States. That is a fact, because they tested that during the Brady bill thing.
Yeah, and it's actually a very strong position. And if you read about the riots, where were these? These were in Tennessee when the veterans came back from World War II. What's his name? There was
They're killing Marge Simpson. I'm sorry, this is breaking news. They're killing Marge Simpson? Seriously?
They can't do that.
I know. This is crazy. All right,
go ahead. You can't do that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was, and what was it? I need to look it up again. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, all right.
Actually,
in the meantime, let me play
this.
Let me play this for you. In the meantime, this is Tom Homan's response. You ready?
Another one, Tom Homan. This new socialist mayor candidate, he hasn't won yet, but he won the Democratic primary, Zorain Mamdani. So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there. What do you say to this guy?
Good luck with that. Federal law trumps him every day, every hour, every minute. We're going to be in New York City. Matter of fact, because it's a sanctuary city, President Trump made it clear a week and a half ago. We're going to double down and triple down on sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the county jail, one agent arresting one bad guy, they release him in the streets like New York does every day. We got to send a whole team to look at this guy. And not only that, we're going to send additional teams to look for all the people they arrest. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats back to the street. So we know we got a problem there. So we don't have that problem in Florida where most sheriffs work for us. So we're going to double up and triple up on New York. And not only are we going to send more agents to the neighborhood, we're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. If we can't arrest them in the jail, you're going to force them in the neighborhood, then we'll find them in the neighborhood. If we can't find them in the neighborhood, we'll find them at the work site. So game on. We're coming.
Think about that, guys. Now, what I don't understand is how did the people who suffer from sanctuary city policies, I'm talking the Americans who live in the communities there, how do they not get so angry that they throw these bums out?
Well, they did that. That's what I started to talk about. It's called the Battle of Athens, Tennessee. McMinn County. The sheriff was about as corrupt as well as you could get. The the whatchamacall machine in New York. What did they call that?
The Democrat machine in New York?
The Democrat machine in New York. There was a term for it. But anyway.
Machine or whatever.
Yeah, in McMinn County, the sheriff was so powerful and he owned pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Linda. And the only thing
Linda, I'm jumping in there with the facts. I love that.
Yeah, because what happened was a bunch of these boys come back from World War II, and the sheriff had this scam where he would just arrest people and charge them and fine them, and he said you were drunk. Well, I haven't been drinking. Well, you were drunk. The cop said so you had to pay a fine.
Yeah.
So and especially when these boys came home from the war, they thought these guys have a lot of money because they've been at work, they've been getting paid.
They didn't get paid, so now they got money. Yeah.
So they were roasting them. Anyway, it got so bad, the elections were rigged, and they threw one of their guys in jail. Anyway, people actually ended up dying here, not a lot, but they got together and they said, fine, we're done. We're not doing it. We're going to make sure this election is fair. So they got all these groups together, and then just as they were about to, go and make sure the election was fair, they found out that the sheriff had called his buddies and got 250 off-duty cops and sheriffs and everybody else. So the vets, they went to the local National Guard armory, and they said, we're having a little trouble here. And the guy said, keys? What keys? They took a bunch of rifles out of the armory, and subsequently there was the Battle of Athens, and they literally were shooting up the jail where all these people had retreated to. And what they did is it was bad. They had the sheriff drop the number of ballot boxes from like 28 to 12. So some people had to travel like 20 miles. And this is 1945, 46. So you know how trouble that was. They gathered the ballot boxes and brought them into the jail. And the guys were outside says, no, we want, fair counting. Anyway, some people that there was all of a sudden, all hell was breaking loose. Don't forget, these were guys that just came back from Europe. They had spent 3 years fighting the Germans. So they came back. Anyway, short story, an ambulance shows up. The sheriff and his chief guy managed to escape in that. They didn't know what was going on. They figured it's an ambulance. We'll let them go in. They're going to help somebody.
Right.
And there was a rumor that the sheriff had called the National Guard, but and then so they said, well, we're not going to let that shit happen. They cut the phone lines.
Oh, wow.
Short story is they finally said, look, we're done. You guys come out, or we're going to just we got a construction guy here. We got a shitload of dynamite. We're going to blow you to frick up.
Wow.
So then what happened? They finally came out. The only one who they really, really did bad was a guy who shot one of their guys, just in the chest for no reason.
Yeah.
And they messed him up pretty bad. Otherwise, they restrained them all. They got the ballot boxes, had a free count, and these veterans who ran for a half a dozen positions, including sheriff, all won by a landslide. Because they had spent the previous months going around and say, listen, I know you don't vote because your vote doesn't count, but we're going to make sure it counts this time. Please vote.
All right. Cool.
And then the last point, I think the funniest point of this was the feds probably sent in an investigative team, and the investigative team came in and everything was fine, everything's calm, but they said, listen, we know some shit went down. Okay, where's your weapons? We know you guys didn't have all these weapons. So they said the only place they could have got them was the National Guard Armory. We're going to go over there and check them. Sure enough, they go over, and the same clerk is sitting at the front desk, says, no, sir, have a look. All of the weapons are exactly where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And the guy says, well, what about the ammunition? What about the ammunition? And the clerk's there. Well, actually, we don't keep a record of that, actually.
Yeah.
As he's shredding pieces of paper.
That's funny.
So it's pretty funny. They put all the rifles back exactly where they got them, and they shredded it. Anyway, the bottom line is not one of them got in trouble for it.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
and they won the election. Nobody ever heard from the sheriff. What's his name? Cargill or something? If anybody remembers, let me know. His name was Cargill or something.
Yeah,
but it's the Battle of Athens, Tennessee.
Here we go. Yeah. That was cool. So someone sent this to me earlier. This is a New York City cop unloads on the communist mayor.
Primary in New York, the socialist won. His name's Zoran Mandami.
That retarded guy. Oh man, this guy's mentally disturbed. It's terrible. Whoever voted for him is heavily medicated. Because come on, man, we're trying to get things done right.
He has a famous tweet up that says, the New York City Police Department, we know that they hate gays and queer people and trans people.
Because he's gay. That's why. He doesn't want nobody to know that he's gay, so he's being quiet about it. A lot of people like to be quiet about their gayness. But this guy's probably the biggest gay lord in the 5 boroughs of the New York City area. Gay!
He said he wants to defund the police. You down with that?
No, man. I got 32 years on the job.
Thank you
know?
for your service.
You know, people like this guy, sometimes we just got to bounce them off our chest and hope for the best, man. Because the people that probably voted for him were afraid. And that's the only way I see it.
So he says he wants to defund the police. Would that be a bad thing for the city of New York?
It would be bad, but I don't think that's going to happen because we're too strong. You know, he won by luck. But that's the way it works, man. We're going to stay here forever, brother. NYPD forever.
Not going to top that. There was a primary.
You got to love that, man.
Yep.
So the cops
They don't like him.
Yeah, the cops know they don't like him. And, you know, they're very well known in New York for turning their back on him, on bad leaders, right? Here's another one. Get this. This is, okay, Pete Hegseth was asked a question by a jackass reporter. Well, why not acknowledge the female pilots that participated? Early messages congratulated the boys. What do you hear his response? I love it. Where do you hear this? And this is how you got it. This is a lesson, people, in how you treat a moron in the media.
More than a lesson, this is a masterclass.
You ready?
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. Very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. And we don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes, right there.
We don't play your little games. This is awesome. His answer, we don't play your little games. That's the answer. That's the answer you want. Just love it.
Yeah, I like Hegseth. We probably got room for like one more.
Let me see. Hold on. There's another one, but it's like 20 minutes long. I'm not playing that. What do you want to do for the last one?
I'm just looking here. Let's see if we've got one.
You don't play your games. I love that.
Oh, you know what? 4th one down. Fire everyone involved. Let's look at that.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's good. Trump said that.
Yeah.
So let me do that. It says, fire everyone involved. Trump unloads on media after Hegseth presser on Iran strikes. Apologize to our great warriors and everyone else, because the media tried everything they could to make what happened ugly, right? President Donald Trump unloaded on the legacy media after a Thursday morning press conference, which was meant to correct the record on the U.S. military's recent strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities held by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Trump took to his Truth Social platform to praise Hegseth for delivering one of the most professional press conferences he'd ever seen, and called for the media outlets that had pushed ahead with leaked intelligence to fire everyone involved. Now, it's not going to happen. They'll probably all get promoted and get raises. Trump prefaced the press conference, which he teased just a day earlier, with another post saying, rumor is that the failing New York Times and fake news CNN will be firing the reporters who made up the fake stories on the Iran nuclear sites because they got it so wrong. Let's see what happens. And you know what? They did lie about that. They literally said that, oh, their nuclear capabilities were just knocked back by a couple of months or something like that. That's what they said, literally. And I mean, and so that meant that you had to have the experts come out. The atomic guy that was the inspector, he had to come out and say, no, it's completely devastated. It's obliterated, the word they used. Once the press conference ended, he took a sharper turn. One of the greatest, most professional, and most confirming news conferences I have ever seen. The fake news should fire everyone involved in this witch hunt and apologize to our great warriors and everyone else, the president said, piggybacking on his comments. But here it is, one of the greatest, most professional. You got to love that. But we know the rest of it. It's just Trump. Hold on, I got something else. Let me see.
Yeah, somebody mentioned, who mentioned it? Was it Bobbity? Mentioned something about maternity flight suits. Now,
Yeah.
that's an interesting. Me,
Isn't that crazy?
I'm all in favor of women doing what they can do. Okay.
Right.
And if women can fly a fighter jet or a bomber, great. But give me a break. You're going to do this while you're pregnant?
Yeah, they're not.
Give me a break.
I remember during the Clinton administration when Patricia Ireland, I think it was, and there was a woman from Colorado. She used to be a senator from Colorado, Democrat, real libnut, and back then even. And they were the ones that were pushing the idea that women had to get promoted faster than the normal course of time takes, because they had to, to right the wrong of women not. Women never went in the military. They didn't want to go in the military, right?
That is such bullshit that it is like just totally.
So what happened was she complained so much, and she was on the Armed Services Committee, and she complained so much that they did do some of the things that she wanted. Clinton did, right, just to shut her the hell up. And when what happened, there was something that happened that it was a battleship left the port and was heading overseas. They got like 9 miles out or something, and they had to turn around and come back because 20% of the crew was pregnant. Okay? 20% of the crew was pregnant. That never happened before, right? And you lose 20% of your crew. You can't run the ship. You can't do what has to be done, the best way and all that. And so there was that. But let me see here.
But yeah, if you're going to take an active position like that, first of all, to get there should be no change in your criteria. If you want to do that, you have to meet the standards.
That's right.
Second, if you do that, like everybody else who's, for instance, in the military or any kind of, job like that, there are things you give up. And one of the things you would give up is starting a family at that moment. So if you became pregnant, you would immediately be transferred out. None of this like 6 months worth of maternity leave and you come back to your job.
Yeah.
You can't make special provisions.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Lou. You said this about an hour ago. Who's censoring you? If you said something here, we don't block anybody. For right now,
I think YouTube blocks things by just automatically. It's happened to me where I've tried to comment on a couple of videos.
7 times tonight. What?
Actually, I've tried to comment on several people's videos, and I think 2 of yours where my comment just got lost.
No shit.
Yeah, and I had said something that would potentially have gotten the attention of the YouTube overlords, and they just didn't like it, and they just didn't post it.
Let me play this one on the final. I got this earlier. It says, young man exposes his mother for trying to stop him from getting a job so she can stay on Section 8. Let me refresh this.
I can't believe this is real. Listen to this one.
Not getting no job. If you go get a job, they're going to take my Section 8. Then you won't be able to get no Section 8. You're not going to get no job. They're going to count your income against my Section 8 and my link card. You're not working. No.
That's so wrong.
So I don't care what you got to say. I don't care how you feel. You're not working. You're not going to get a job. You're not going to school.
I want to lie around all day and do nothing. And you're
not doing none of that shit.
Wait, Mom, I'm saying how I'm supposed to be successful in life, Mom. So you basically.
You hear that? He's saying, how am I going to be successful in life, Mom? The kid's got it going on, right?
You're telling me I gotta be broke to be successful. I gotta be broke so I can get Section 8.
You gotta be broke so the government can help you.
Look at the look on her face. She knows she's wrong telling her kid something like that.
So the government can help me. So you I can't work no job, bro. Like that's like all my friends got jobs and live in nice houses. So you telling me I got to go through the same thing you went through?
If you
to have a
don't
house?
do any of that, they're going to take my Section 8.
How?
And I'm
Won't
trying
they
to
be
tell
like?
you
Won't
that
they
you
be?
can go get yours at ease. You can go get a
They will
nice
no. They will look at that and be like, he's doing something and give me a bigger house, ma. That's
Yeah.
what you taught me.
Where I'm gonna go?
I don't-
have no job.
She obviously doesn't know he has a GoPro on her.
I can get off your Section 8 and apply for my own Section 8.
But if you do that, you're gonna have to go the hard way. It's gonna take long.
So what?
Imagine.
That's what I'm
Wait a few
saying.
months, get on Section 8.
This
find
guy,
you a
by the
nice
way, is very
apartment,
good.
Go get you a link card. You will be fine. You don't have to sit up and work. You don't have to work no job. The government is here to help us.
Kidding me?
I can't believe this.
That's a mother talking to her son. Holy mackerel! And then they'll be the ones that say, you know, oh, it's racism why I can't get a job. You know, and the son. So the son filmed her. Awesome.
Okay. I do have something to end the show.
Sure.
I typed off I typed in the search engine, wow, that's a good observation. In my search engine, I typed off, are they kill? And it automatically filled in killing off Marge Simpson.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of people are looking for it. What it says, the AI summary says, no, Marge Simpson is not being killed off. While the season 36 finale of The Simpsons featured a flash forward scene depicting Marge's death in the distant future, the show's executive producer has clarified that this is not a permanent change to the show's storyline.
I'll be honest with you. I have not watched in probably the last 10 years, but I still thought the show was damn funny because I got too much going on. I don't have time to watch TV anymore.
I never watch TV.
Yeah.
I
mean, I have certain shows that I do like that I will watch, but it's like while I'm eating or something, you know, because I don't have time to watch TV. I used to be a TV junkie, but I haven't in a while.
Yeah, I thought The Simpsons was really, really pretty funny. I watched it for the first couple or 3 years. I haven't watched it in 20 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but
Well, shall we, Rich?
What's that? Oh yeah, you're gonna end it? All right.
It's after 7, and unless you have something to add to the end of it.
Nah, not really.
I think we've done it. Has everybody had a good time? Hopefully everybody got.
If you haven't already, please hit that like button because it helps us. Also, remember, guys, tomorrow I'm going to be on 42's end of the month show. He was kind enough to invite me back. It's going to be a blast because it always is. Those guys are funny when they do that, and I love being on that show. So, if you can, do me a favor. I know most of you guys will be there, but the guys that don't normally go, just find him. 42. He was in here tonight. In fact, if you're on Discord, I'm going to post the link when he sends it to me. For when he sends me the invite code, but I'll post the link for the stream. All right.
So if anybody's got any last minute things to add to the chat, please do now. I think
Thanks,
another
Linda.
good
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Another good show.
Yeah.
My God, there's just
I'm so glad
much
they
to
like
talk
it,
about.
because I'm having fun doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm having a blast, but they like it. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm telling you.
We're just having a chat, and I'm glad people like my random ramblings every now and then.
Yeah, they do. Of course they do.
And I will try and bring. It's harder for me to come up with a story
He
during
is
the
a legend.
week.
I love him.
It's harder for me to come up with a story during the week and get it on the list, but I come up with ideas as we talk.
You know what it is too? It's funny because when I do the list of Jabberhouse. I don't know if you guys know it, but I own the website that I use to go down the list. I thought it was the easiest way to keep track of the stories. You know, I saw HB, he does it because he has a story on every tab, going across. So I just came up with the idea to do it on my own site. And I do it. It looks like the Drudge Report, but the Drudge Report is a left-wing weenie site now. So anyway, what I do is I started on Thursday night and I put all the top things that I think should be in the center first. And then the next day on Friday, I look at the same sources that I use. I got a lot of sources I go through, and I look at the same sources, and I'll replace the ones in the front if they're more important. You know what I mean? That's how I do it.
And just so much has been happening so quickly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was there. I think, didn't he play it the one time when I was there, the Anglo-Saxon? Yeah. And then Don't Eat the Bugs. That's another good one. But you guys got to brace yourself, right? They were saying, brace. And Anglo goes, RPW media has to brace himself. I'm like, what the F are these guys talking about? And then I saw it, and I'll never unsee it again. Now I'm in there going, brace every time he plays it.
There you go.
Bug, and its guts pour out of his mouth as he chews it. It's like a giant, what the hell was that thing? Like a caterpillar, but in it was huge. It had those pinchers, and I thought it had eyes and was wearing sunglasses. It was awful. It really was.
Yeah, I'll be there right with you. I'll eat the bugs when I'm going to starve if I don't. How about that?
Yeah, but there's he has good songs and he has good videos that he comes up with. If you're into the whole UK thing, it's awesome. It truly is. Yeah, brace. I know. Yeah,
okay,
I like
guys.
His streams a lot. All right, guys, thank you very much. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you for being here. Love you for that. Oh, big announcement. Next Friday, there won't be a stream. It's July 3rd, and we have stuff to do, family stuff. So sorry about that. I was thinking of doing it Saturday, but that's when 42 does his, and I didn't want to mess with him.
I don't want to like overly correct you, but Friday is actually July 4th.
July 4th.
You said 3rd.
Oh, I meant the 4th. All right. Yeah, I
know you meant
holiday.
the 4th.
Yeah. I said 3rd. No shit. Yeah,
I think you did.
Yeah. So I won't be here unless the whole family dies. Something like that. Then I'll put up something like that. But
I was gonna tell you that we got family arrangements as well. So
yeah,
we will see everybody in 2 weeks. Don't
probably in
forget to
2
come
weeks,
back.
guys. And come back with friends. I know you guys are awesome. So I know you guys got friends. Bring them, please.
You gotta have one friend.
I know.
Gotta have one friend. Call a friend. Call a friend.
Yeah, call a friend.
And call a friend.
Who wants to be a millionaire? Call a friend.
And Jimmy says you did say the 3rd. Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Oh my God, he said. Oh my God, that's a funny joke. You have no idea, Uncle Bobbity, why that's such a funny joke right now. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay.
Was.
But yeah, so we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to find a friend.
Yep. A friend that's willing to come in here and have a good time.
A friend that's willing to boot up their computer and listen to us and come in and make stupid comments or good comments or funny comments or whatever they want to comment.
I think we have the best chat. That's why I want more
great
people, because the more people, the better yet it will be. Seriously, guys, bring people, please.
Get somebody. Somebody get somebody.
Love you all. Have a good one.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye.